What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day, another episode of 30 NSG. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Concord. We got one article from Digital Trends talking about Concord's rocky launch is less than complicated than you think. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about another article that says Concord is another high-profile victim of AAA painful long development time. We're going to talk about Sony announces the PlayStation Plus monthly games for September of 2024. We're also going to talk about an article from Forbes, from Paul Tassi, talking about the woke war, why the right believes it's dominated gaming and TV in 2024, which I thought was an interesting title, so we might have to go over that. And then whatever else comes out while we're live. If you guys like what we do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. We just cover news stories, have articles, watch videos, have conversation with you guys in live chat. Live chat is part of this show. 1000%. I bring people's chats right up on the screen, and we have conversations. So if you like that, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. We are trying to hit a subscriber goal of 3,000. So if you would like to be a part of that 3,000, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we do lots of live streams, uploads, podcasts, and you can listen to us and watch us all over the web on Spotify, iTunes, Google Plays, anywhere else a podcast is seen. How's everyone doing? What's going on, Ghost Fixer, sorry. Dustin, Jason, what's going on? Kylo, Dolphin, Robert Jones, good morning, Altern. Something's happening with YouTube this morning. So I monitor myself on the iPad. That's what this is for, right? It's a little bit behind, but just to see if stuff is happening. But for some reason, YouTube doesn't want to load. So, anybody else having issues with YouTube this morning? Kylo says, when isn't there a Destiny community drama? I mean, there's been drama for 10 years. We usually don't follow it, and we're not talking about Destiny drama. I know other people are bringing up the drama, but we're not talking about the drama. Because I try not to give those people any time of the day. It's all good, Kylo. Adult stuff to do. That sucks. Yeah. We got up to level 18, 19. So if you want to get your guy up to 18, 19, or you could just not get there and then play with us next week or whatever. Krebsy says yesterday the YouTube was acting up for him. That makes me feel better. Like it's just not loading. I restarted my iPad and everything. It's just not working. Nice, Marky Mark. All right, so I think I want to start off. With the Concord. There's two Concord stories. Okay. I personally think that Concord was more hit by the $40 price tag and the uninteresting gameplay than more of the, bad character models, personally. Okay? But this article says maybe we're overthinking it. Maybe we're overcomplicating it, right? So I'm going to read this article. None of the articles I talk about on this channel have I read ahead of time. I read, the whole thing is, I'm reading the article, we look at the title, right? A lot of people just look at the title, and that's what interests me, right? Because people see a title, and they're like, huh, and then they read the article. What I do is, I look at the title and go, that would be an interesting topic to talk about on the show. So then I put it in our Discord. Any of you guys can submit stories in our Discord. And then I decide I'm going to read it on chat, or on live stream, and then give you my honest opinion as we're reading it, okay? So none of these stories, none of these videos, none of this stuff that I do on this channel have I seen ahead of time or watch. I just look at the clip. If I watch a video, I watch like the first minute and go, yeah, okay, I can talk about this, right? And then I'll put it on the show. So that's the type of content we do here, right? So if you like that, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. All right, so Concord's rocky launch is less complicated than you think. What? I didn't think it was that complicated. I think it was the $40 price tag in the free-to-play world with the uninteresting gameplay is what I think it is, right? So it says, why wasn't it free to play? That's a good question. Why wasn't it free to play? Should Sony have offered it for free, though, on PlayStation Plus. And did PlayStation login requirement kill it? I didn't even think about that. Did you have to sign in on PC? Anybody in chat? Good morning, Jojo. Is it good afternoon, though, for you now, isn't it? Anybody in chat get this on PC? Concord on PC. Not that we want to make fun of you. Is that I want to know is, did you have to sign up for the PlayStation Network type of thing again? Okay. And it says, would have sold millions of copies if the characters didn't have pronouns. I think that's a problem as well. I think a lot of people that maybe would have maybe said, okay, I'll take the $40. They said, oh, there's pronouns, like, I'm good. Okay, maybe it's all the stuff, right? Who knows? Okay, so for the past week, gaming water coolers have been abuzz with questions like this, ranging from thoughtful to nonsensical. It's also regarding Sony's latest release, Concord, and the live service shooter, which also launched simultaneously on both PlayStation 5 and PC. It had uncharacteristically rocky launch for a big-budget Sony game. While PlayStation 5 stats aren't available, it's struggling to find a player base on Steam at this peak of launch day. Now, Concord only had 697 concurrent players, according to SteamDB, at the time of writing this, around 5 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. It only has 171 players by comparison, and Ubisoft's heavily criticized Skull and Bones has over 1,600 currently playing on Steam. And it's just like the movie industry, right? We thought Might & Web was like, that was the worst it could get this year. And then, obviously, the rest of the games come out, and you're like, oh, hold my beer. Okay. Even miraculously doing much better than the PlayStation 5, it's safe to say that Concord is struggling to find its audience. Everybody seems to have a different reason as of why, but perhaps not as much as a puzzle as players think it is. Maybe Concord isn't taking off because players aren't interested in it. Yeah, but I think to say they're not interested in it has to do with the pronouns, has to do with the character models, has to do with the, really boring kind of gameplay, and it also has to do with the $40 price tag. I don't think anyone's making this more complicated than it needs to be. I think it's all of these things are why the mass of people are not playing this game, okay? It says, Concord launch data may sound shocking in a vacuum, but it makes perfect sense for anyone who has also been paying attention. To a shooter's marketing history, the project is a debut from Firewalker Studios, a first-party Sony studio, while also several veterans multiplayer developers of its team, including those who have worked on Destiny series. It's not that kind of studio that is also name recognition of the track record to judge. With no history to go on, players would only be able to judge the game on the face value it revealed would be crucial. Okay? Well, that's another good thing and a bad thing, right? They have no history, but the first thing that they've created is this game, Concord. So now when and if they get a chance to make the second game, hopefully it can only go up from here, right? Because all they have to do is get 700 people or 698 to be better than the last game. It says the key moment came earlier in this May when Sony rolled out the red carpet for Concord as part of the State of Play stream. Unfortunately, it started on the wrong foot. The stream made a puzzling choice to start by showing a long cinematic cutscene for a game that sports no single-player mode. Many views seemed unimpressed, pointing to the fact that they looked and sound like the rift of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. While Sony would show gameplay after the long introduction, it left a soured first impression. I said this the last couple days after we heard about the 8-year development cycle, and I was like, it doesn't make sense, man. It doesn't make sense. Starting off your first time we see your game with a long cinematic trailer, and then to show us that there is no single player or PvE aspect of this game, it's just a straight up hero shooter, just baffles me. I think personally that the concept was something else before, and then it turned into this because they didn't want another game that was like long-winded like Destiny or whatnot, right? They wanted something that was quick, easy, and they could charge microtransactions left and right. And unfortunately, after the long period of time, there was another article out there that said, it was a post that said it could have lost $200 million, which is what Suicide Squad did for WB. Okay. So here we are 1 month later, a small wave of previews have hit the internet, and the impressions were mixed. While some write-ups were skewed positive, it's also got people talking about most that came out on ING, arguably the gaming world's leading test maker, which I think is shitty, by the way. I think if we all depend on IGN, we all have, 7GN here or LiGN, whatever you want to call them. I think that's a problem as well. I think there should be other outlets, not as big and conglomerate as IGN, but if you hate Sony, if you hate Microsoft because they're conglomerate companies, or Activision Blizzard or Disney World, you got to keep the same energy level, because IGN basically owns all the other avenues out there to report news. So writer Stella Chung, the author with a strong experience in shooters, painted a picture of the middling multiplayer game as desperate need of tweaks. Players' power of negative impressions from the publication of big IGN, the site's similar publisher, poor impressions of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League ahead of its launch, which contributed to its public perception. Now, public beta followed in July, which also led to seamlessly mixed impressions from the press players alike. Aside from the concerns about the balance, the consumers also, Concord just didn't seem to have many original ideas. Fun games are a dime a dozen in 2024, and Sony's sales pitch struggled to show off what made this offering so special. And I agree with that 100%. It didn't show anything special. Even when you listened, if you did listen to anybody's review, they said there's like good mechanics within the game, but they didn't show those off in any way, shape, or form in the public persona of showing off these type of stuff, right? They just showed, hey, it looks like Guardians of the Galaxy. We got some cutscenes, and it's $40. It says, so what's to blame? The timeline of events shouldn't have at least much room of confusion, okay? Sony was working with the IP that didn't have a pre-built hype around it. Each month leading up to the release brought another sour marketing beat. The public perception was also Concord was out of fashion. It looked like Overwatch and sounded like Guardians of the Galaxy, two culture touchstones that hit the peak of popularity in the late 2010s. I don't know. Guardians of the Galaxy, first off, say what you want about the Guardians of the Galaxy video game. I mean, it got hurt because of Marvel's Avengers, the video game. But Guardians of the Galaxy, the movie, did very well. I think it had like 800 million, almost close to $1 billion in sales. So Guardians of the Galaxy is not a, out of touch popularity in the late 2010s. First of all, I think Guardians of the Galaxy 1 came out in like 2011, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So many players weren't interested in what it was selling. Now, how does it something out of touch with what's not happened? It also could pin on the unsustainability of ballooning development timelines. According to the lead character designer, John Concord was in development for 8 years, which some people say it was 6. I think Jason came in a couple days ago and said it was 6 years when the studio was. But they're saying 8 years, so go figure, right? That would mean the beginning of the life same year as Overwatch launch, which explains why it's so similarities from the outside. Video game trends are also a moving target. A hot new thing seems to happen every 3 to 4 years and entirely upends what's popular in multiplayer. Now, Concord was late to the hero shooter party by years. Yeah, way later. Okay, even though that the reasoning is ultimately point back to much similar explanations of players simply not being interested. Marvel Rivals looks to be more of a direct Overwatch rift than Concord, which draws even more from Destiny. It's enjoyed the wave of momentum since the reveal, thanks to the connection of the popular IP, positive impressions from the press and content creators, and strong closed beta showings. The genre isn't inherently out of fashion. No, but the reason that Marvel's Rivals is popular is because it has 85 years experience ahead of it with the Marvel brand. This is why companies buy brands. This is why they put that money out there. This is why Microsoft paid $7.2 billion for Bethesda to get the IPs. This is why they spent $70 billion to get Call of Duty, Candy Crush, because of IPs. Okay? This is why Marvel Rivals is going to do better than Concord in every way, shape, or form, because, well, Marvel is 85 years old. It's done its time. Concord is literally a brand new IP. Nobody knows about the characters. Nobody cares about the characters. Nobody gives a shit about the stuff. They don't care. You have to put a lot of money into it, sort of like Blizzard did with Overwatch, where not only they were making and pushing Overwatch the way it was, but they were also putting money behind it to make it the next premier esports game. Okay, and they put a shit ton of money where it became a professional sport, where they had their own Major League Gaming League, basically, the Overwatch League. Okay, Concord's not doing that. Apex Legends put money behind bringing all the streamers in because it was a brand new IP, okay? But it was set in a world of Titanfall, okay? So even if it's like a minuscule or a thread going through it, it still takes place with a game that's not so popular, right? Popular after the fact. But again, they put money behind it. What did they do for Concord? Where's the money that Sony put out for Concord? They didn't, okay? So to compare it to Marvel Rivals is unfair, because Marvel, sure, Marvel Rivals is a brand new game, but the characters themselves have 85 years out there, and people know what Marvel is. It's literally changed the landscape of movies and blockbuster films, okay, where there's been more billion-dollar films since the Marvel movies started in 2008 with Marvel Studios than ever before in the history, okay? So, yeah, Marvel's gonna be a little bit more, but then again, look at Marvel. Guardians of the Galaxy Marvel game didn't do very well. Marvel's Midnight Suns didn't do very well. Marvel's Avengers didn't do very well. There's branding there, but at the same time, Marvel Rivals is a free-to-play game. Concord is a $40 game, and nobody knows anything about anybody. Some have argued that Concord is the proof that players don't want live service crammed down their throats. While that's likely true for some, and continued success of the games like Fortnite flies in the face of that logic, players will still show up for the great live service game if it droves, if they care about it. As a good word of mouth, Concord didn't have the luxury of either. That's correct, okay? People say they don't like live service games, but yet they love their live service games. People don't like microtransactions, but yet people keep paying for microtransactions. Marvel Rivals is going to be a live service game, but people give a shit about that because of the characters in the game. They know nothing about Concord. It does absolutely nothing different than everybody else. The other attempts to explain Concord's struggles run into similar logic holes. A common explanation pins the failure of Concord's $40 price tag. Now, this is where I heavily think that this is a problem, because if this wasn't there and it was a free-to-play game, more people would play it, more people would see what it is. I'm not going to say it's going to be super popular, but more people would have gave it a shot than they are today because of the $40 price tag. The argument is that if you would have worked better as a free-to-play game, while likely it would have also helped the player base, premium price tag isn't a death sentence. Sony's mega popular Helldivers 2 launched at the same $40 price tag point, and players didn't seem to think twice about picking it up. This is such a bad example of this Sony game for $40 worked well, and this one doesn't. Hello? One is a PvP competitive game, and the other is a PvE, like, live service game. Okay, so $40 for what Helldivers is a good price point, and it's also a completely different game because you're not going up against other people. That game doesn't depend on the masses playing. They knew that their player base would be minimal, and then it became super popular because it was a fun, good game. Concord is not a fun game. It doesn't do anything better than the other games that are free to play out there. What other game is out there right now that's like Helldivers? Starship Troopers? Starship Troopers has the 16 players, right? It's only on PC right now. It's coming to Xbox and PlayStation later in October, okay? But it's also a little bit different, okay? But that would be like the closest thing that you could say, like that type of stuff. There's nothing like Helldivers. So the $40 price tag, until Sony destroyed it with signing in for the network, was fantastic. You can't compare that to Concord. You got to compare Concord to other free-to-play hero shooters. Okay, some have argued that Concord should have been offered as a freebie for PlayStation Plus subscribers. That also could have helped, but it's also hard to attribute that decision to success or failure either way. Now, Helldivers 2 didn't launch on PlayStation Plus, and it found success. On the flip side, Foam Stars was offered free on the VI service initially, and it wasn't a turn in the game into sensation. PlayStation Plus can also make a game like Fall Guys, but it won't break it. The most downright absurd conspiracy theory is that Concord failed because of woke, due to having the diverse cast of characters. Bad faith arguments like that have been heavily used this year to explain the failure of games like Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, but they aren't based on reality. Oh, they're based in reality. Okay? I love that journalists and outlets like this try to pretend that this doesn't exist. It does exist. Say if it's a small group of people or not, it's been proven. It's been proven that these people have put stuff in there, and there's been money tossed to things like this so they get grants. So, for instance, let me make an example. Let me make an example in the film industry, right? Certain states have certain incentives, okay? So a studio will go up to somebody and say, hey, I would like to make this movie. And the studio says, well, can you set the movie in Arizona? And they're like, well, it doesn't really work in Arizona. But I guess we can do it. Well, Arizona is giving a tax incentive where they're giving $50 million, and that's $50 million that we don't have to pay because we're bringing the stuff over there. And they're like, well, I guess we're setting the movie in Arizona then, right? And then that's basically what, like, SBI is, right? Game companies want to make a game, and they're like, hey, we want to make this game. They're like, well, this is the budget. They're like, well, we have this DEI. We can work with this company called SBI. that can help us, and they'll give us money. So we check these boxes, and then they'll give us money so it doesn't hurt us as much. And they're like, yeah, it sounds great. We get free cash. Let's do it. This has been proven, okay? So to say that this is a bad faith argument, okay, and heavily used to explain the failure of games, it's partial blame of why these games fail. Because just like businesses, not that I like to bring up politics, but we've all seen the news about what's happening with Harley Davidson or John Deere or Tractor Supply, right? Or Disney, okay? Keep your politics out of our entertainment. And that is why those things failed. Keep your shit out of our video games. We just want to play video games, okay? So for these people, and there's another article we'll talk about later, okay? If you look at this and say it's bad faith, you're drinking the Kool-Aid of it's not there, because it is 100% there. Keep your shit out of the video games. Keep your shit out of our entertainment. We just want to play video games. We just want to watch shows. We just want to watch movies, okay? Overwatch found plenty of success while maintaining a diverse cast. Baldur's Gate 3 was 2023's biggest hit and gives players the option to enter into queer relationships. That's right, but they didn't use it for advertisement. They didn't do hashtag LBGTQ plus / politics in their tags for their game. Baldur's Gate 3 was like, hey, you want to fuck a bear? Cool, go ahead, right? Hey, you want to make your character however you want to make it? Cool. You want to have a queer relationship? Doesn't matter. It wasn't planted into the poster of the stuff, okay? If people don't see the difference, I can't help you. I can't help you, okay? Marvel Spider-Man 2 sold 11 million copies in spite of the subset online commentary complaining about the centering representation of the story. Again, bad example. Marvel Spider-Man is the largest, if not arguably, the largest comic book character hero in the planet, okay? That's why it sold. It didn't. People really don't care if, like, Mary Jane, there are people that cared, okay? But the reason it sold that many copies is because it's fucking Spider-Man. But, you know, there's no consistent data that shows that the players are unwilling to play the game that is very loud group of believers will go broke based on inclusive design, even if occasional flops like Redfall open up the door for confirmation bias. Okay? It says the truth of the video game's success and failures sometimes have a very simple explanation. Palworld had buzz for years before it was early access launch due to the WTF trailer that showed Pokemon-like creatures, sweatshops, and rode that the interest of success. Black Myth Wukong had several high-profile placements in showcases like Summer Game Fest and will receive positive buzz. It also had the enormous marketing budget behind it and a very excited Chinese market, also who are eager to see a high popular journey of the West adapted into Chinese first AAA video game. Now, you could have also seen Balatro's surprise success coming. It's also been following up the well-received Steam demo and buzz from influencer content creators before it launched. Now, mind you, if this person is going to report on how there's there's no woke in video games, and yet another outlet, Screen Rant, has an article, or IGN talks about how Wukong was sexist, racist, misogynistic, and they also don't have enough diversity in the game of a monkey, okay? You got to report that as well. You can't say that this doesn't exist because of a small minority of people on the internet, and yet they say that they don't report the news of the other outlets doing the same thing on the opposite side. Okay? Failures are sometimes just as easy to predict. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League got off to a bad start after the first gameplay trailer was revealed to negative reception. A delay to 2024 mounted anxiety around the project, while the hilarity of the poor reviews of the site of IGN solidified them. Yeah, that's because they were complaining. Whatever. Skull and Bones suffered from the long troubled development history that also had become infamous rumors that Ubisoft wanted to cancel the game amid a poor focus test combined with the poor reviews led to a logical conclusion. No, Skull and Bones failed because it resetted 5 times and was delayed 7 times. Okay? And when it came out, the game is still not complete. It's still not done. It's still work in progress, and it'll be fixed over the next 18 months. Okay, that's the reason that Skull and Bones. Suicide Squad's failed because they put their political beliefs or the ideology stuff inside the game, and they also put diversity in the game and they forced it on you, and because of game mechanics and whatnot in the game that made it bad. So it was a smorgasbord, okay, of a bunch of stuff of why those games didn't make it out well. Okay. So it says very few could have reasonably predicted how tough Concord's launch would go, but it's also been clear since May that it wasn't leaving a mark. Decision like pricing certainly played a factor into its problems, but we don't get to the core of the issue. The players were interested. If you could have overcome any number of hurdles just a countless other way. It says, so what's next? The early data also would suggest that Concord is already doomed in the performing better than PlayStation 5. Such lower player counts on PC threaten to create a long matchmaking queues that push players away, and the risk falling into a death spiral as the problems threaten to compound the bigger ones. Conventional wisdom would tell you that they also bound to suffer the same fate as a live service flops like Babylon's Fall. Well, one is a MMO type of game, right? Babylon's Fall, and one is a PvP game, right? There's still hope for Sony, though. While Concord endured months of bad press, there's also some positive word of mouth forming in the distance. If social media and any indication, there also seems to be an audience that's clicking with the hero shooter, even the Digital Trends' own review. I noted that the core gameplay of Concord is promising. Its problems lie more in the lack of original ideas, unproven weekly cutscene premises, and a thin launch package. Okay. It's also, we know that Firewalk Studios is committed to building Concord out further, and the studio has 3 seasons planned, and they also intend to stick to it, giving to a bit of runway to rebuild the momentum through the strong updates. Games like Splitgate and No Man's Sky have come back from a bad launch by staying in the course and doubting down on what works. Well, Splitgate, didn't the guys abandon Splitgate to work on Splitgate 2, and then No Man's Sky, obviously, they put their head down and worked on the game, and it took 3 years to fix that game. But, let's not put that in the actual article. Concord also could do the same in the hard imagined to such high-budget productions getting much more flexibility from Sony. There's also plenty of lessons to learn from Concord no matter what directions ultimately goes. What's important here is it's not getting misdirected by noisy conversations as players looking to shape the narrative and fit their own an explanation of why the plan's sight. Or why it's in plain sight. Sorry. I mean, I think you're spinning a narrative as well. I think that's just the nature of when you tell a story, right? I mean, I think the narrative is the $40 price tag is the big gate that holds people back. I don't think in any other form, again, this is my opinion, right? I think if it was a free-to-play game, then people would enter the game. Then they would be able to play the game. And if they play the game, then they can look at the characters and go, oh, you know what? It's actually not that bad since it's a first-person shooter game. I'm not really seeing my character, so it doesn't really make a big deal if I'm playing a garbage can or a bigger woman or a feminine man, whatever. Okay? I don't think that's a big thing. Does the gunplay feel good? Well, you wouldn't know if the gunplay feels good because the gatekeeping is the $40. It's the $40 price tag that's getting you in there. When there's Apex and Overwatch and Marvel Rivals and the Finals and X Defiant, there's so many games out there that are free to play that you can jump into right now. That's not even including Fortnite and Call of Duty. Okay, that why would I give this a shot, especially now that it's out in the public that the player base is low. Okay, the snowball's not going downhill; it's still getting pushed uphill. It's an uphill battle for Concord. Because now, regardless if they make it free to play, which it will go free to play, and they say they're going to keep it, they're sticking to the plan of the 3 seasons, they're in the same boat as Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad is a PvE game, okay? But at the same time, they're having an uphill battle because they refuse to change what the fundamentals of the game is. So they're just going to throw it out there, and when it's done, and then they're gone. These guys have the same mentality. They're like, nope, we had this plan. This is what we're doing. We're sticking to it. And they're going to have to change it to free-to-play because it doesn't matter if you keep bringing that content out. If nobody cares about your game, what's the point of putting it out there? For the small group of people that are playing. Now, it does say it's 43rd on the list on PlayStation. I would have to look at that list because we know how many players are playing or how many potential players are buying it and played on PlayStation for Black Myth Wukong. Okay? And where is that on the list? And if that is that sold 2.7 million copies, let's say, based on the 3 million concurrent on Steam, because it has 2.4 million and they sold 10 million copies. So by the math, by solving for X, if you did it all, okay, they have about 7 million people playing on PC across the world, and they have about 3 million, about 2.5 to 3 million people playing on PlayStation, okay? And by that accord, where's that on the list? Because if that is like 5 on the list or 2 on the list or whatever it is on the list, then you can see if on 43rd that the player base is not very high for Concord. These are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think in the live chat. If you like what we do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning to about noon Eastern. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you like what we do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. All right, let me scroll back up. See what you guys are saying. Travis says 30, it's not complicated at all. Making a bad game, don't make sales. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah. Jason says, how about 8 years too late? The amount of cope at the games media on the Concord is ridiculous. Altered says, we have good financial decisions, 30. We don't buy Concord. Pepsi says, has crossplay more likely that accurate? Don't know for fact. Let's see. Robert Jones says, it should explain why you brought something, not why you didn't. Flip says Skull and Bones was like $20 on Steam. I would say the game is worth that. Let me see what else you guys are saying. You guys are talking to each other. Free to play coming soon for Concord. Bet your ass. Oh, 100%. They're going to have to change the business model of that. People are not going to buy the $40 and then get the skins. They're going to look at it because Suicide Squad could do that because it's a single-player game in there. Okay, there's no single-player game. This is just PvP. So why am I going to pay $40 and then pay for skins? They're going to have to drop the $40, take it out there, and then they're going to have to push the skins. Jason says, bland character design, art style, $40 entry point, overcrowded market, 8 years too late, and the market, this is why it failed. Yeah, it's all of that. I agree 100% it's all of that. But I think that $40 price tag, if I have to look at this and this, I'm like, I'm not even going to attempt this because of that $40 entry point. Let's see. Robert Jones says, Marvel's does seem like more a direct copy. Don't copy, guys. Copy and give it a new paint job. Well, they did. They pulled back the camera, made it a third-person game, right? They made it a third-person game instead of a first-person game. That way they can sell more skins. Roadkill says, go woke, go broke. They know it's true. Jason says, this dude can't compare Helldivers 2 to Concord. One has style, personality, the other one has none. Yeah, I thought that was a bad example of what to bring because they're both Sony and they're both $40. That was what he was pulling from. Let's see. People clicking on with the game. Akuda Papa, what's going on? The people clicking the game are primary devs being paid to play it on Digital Trends. Robert Jones says, Splitgate had a bad launch. I don't think it had a bad launch. Did it say bad launch in here? I don't think it said bad launch for Splitgate. I think it said... Hold on. Where the fuck was it? The Splitgate. Marvel introduction... What do you guys hit for to search on a page? What is it? F what? F2? What F3? What the fuck is it? I can't find Control F. Thank you. No, apparently that's not working. Skull and Bones suffer rumors. Okay. I know it was lower on the article. Here we go. Games like Splitgate and No Man's Sky had Sky have a comeback from bad launch. Oh, I guess it did have a bad launch. I just remember them abandoning the game to go work on. Didn't they switch the engine? And then didn't they go make Splitgate 2? They just said, "Oh, we're done with it." We'll be talking about Astrobot next week. I mean, I personally won't be unless there's some story out for it. I don't have a PlayStation 5, so I can't play it. You know what I mean? Unless there's a story out there and it starts to get... Yeah, we'll talk about it. I can't tell you. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what we're talking about until the morning of that we're talking about it. I don't plan my shows out in, like, weeks in advance. Oh, there it is. It does work. It is Control F. In the browser I'm using, it pops up on the. There it goes. Okay. Robert Jones says, "I think the suits might see it that way. $40 here, $40 here. Why no profit? Gamers know better." Ron Slusher says, "Things could be worse. At least it's not Minecraft Legends or Redfall." Minecraft Legends Redfall was a broke game, right, Ron? But think about this. It is worse than Redfall. It is worse than Redfall because they didn't even hit the concurrent player base that Redfall hit. So I'm just saying. Right? Just like Sony's not showing their numbers for the Concord game, you don't know what Redfall's numbers were for Xbox, but you do know what they were on PC, and that was still better than Concord. So trying to use one as the other, it's literally worse than Redfall. It's worse than Redfall. So it is worse than Redfall. Minecraft Legends. Here, let me see what Minecraft Legends was. Yeah, Ron, I think you're hurt. I think you're hurt. You're trying so hard to defend Concord not being a bad game because maybe you purchased it. I don't know. Did you purchase it? Did you purchase it, Ron? Are you playing it? That you're trying to make examples of other games? Like the all-time peak of Minecraft Legends on Steam is, God, if Concord had these numbers, maybe people wouldn't talk about it, right? You're stretching so bad to try to make that this is not worse than this game, and it is 1,000%. Concord is well worse than Minecraft Legends, and let's check out Redfall, shall we? Yeah, I mean. You're being really bad right now, Ron, as far as, well, this is not bad as those Xbox games, right? See, I have no side here. I will call bullshit when I see bullshit. And you, sir, have bullshit right now. Travis says, nobody purchased Concord. It was given to the people. Or at least I like to assume nobody bought it. FNT, new member. Thank you very much for the membership. Appreciate that. Yeah, we watched a video yesterday from Legendary Drop talking about how Concord could be the worst game launch in the history. And he goes why and whatnot. And you're trying to compare it to Redfall, which Redfall has 6,000. Concord would love 6,000 people playing their game. Not to say that Redfall isn't a bad game. Redfall shouldn't have been launched. Okay? Redfall shouldn't have been launched. Brain Eclipse. Thank you very much, sir. Eclipse, you're not a new member. I'm confused by that. Why does it say new member? I mean, I can see your badge. Your badge is not new. That's weird. But thank you very much for the continued support. I appreciate that. Right? Redfall's a bad game. Minecraft Legend wasn't a bad game. It's just they're taking an IP. What Minecraft is the largest game on the planet. Okay? More people play Minecraft than any other game in existence because it's on everywhere. They make more money from Minecraft than basically every other game in the world. Okay? And yet they made Minecraft Dungeons, which was very popular. Minecraft Dungeons was very popular. And then they made another one of Minecraft Legends, which was another opportunity to try to see what they could do with that IP in a different genre. It didn't work. It didn't work out for them. Okay? They made their money from it, and then they abandoned it. Okay? And you pointing it out, yeah, these are bad games, but you're just pointing out that bad games are bad games, and Concord is a bad game. Oh, is that what it is? It says new member because it runs out even though you're continuing? I see what it is. Because it's not consecutive. That's what it is. That's what it is. Robert Jones says, I know Concord was potentially low population when I bought it, but I still did because I enjoy it. No reason to defend the company, LL Trash Night. That's right. Right? You can enjoy what you enjoy. Right? We're just talking facts here of why the game is not successful. I play shitty games all the time, right? I got 1,000 hours inside a game that everyone hated with Marvel's Avengers, okay? Okay? But I will not stand here and be like, Marvel's Avengers was the greatest game I've ever played in my entire life. I'm not delusional. FNT, thank you very much for coming on, member. Appreciate that. Yeah, like what you like. But don't try to defend something when obviously, you know, it's non-defendable. You know what I mean? All right. We got another article about Concord, okay? And I want to make it clear, I'm not shitting on Concord. We're just reading articles and I'm giving you my opinion. I think the game failed because of the $40 price tag. I think that is the 60% of what the problem is with Concord is that $40 price tag. If they didn't have that $40 price tag, people would get in, try it, and go, you know what? It's actually not that bad. They would do what I did with Marvel's Midnight Suns. Marvel's Midnight Suns, I didn't want to play it when it came out because I didn't like the card system. And then other games came out, and I was like, is it a bad game? I never said it was a bad game, but now I'm playing it after the fact, and I'm playing the game going, wow, it's a really good game. Right? It's a really good game. It didn't get the... Okay? But I also got it for $20. Right? And it was actually free to play on Epic, which made me try it originally. Okay? So, not to say that game needed to be free to play to get in there, but because now I'm in there playing, I'm like, it's actually a really good game. If Concord is such a good game, then lower that entry fee. Right? Take away the defending of, or the blockade of $40 and throw it in there so people get in there and go, you know what? This is better than this game. This is more fun than this game. But they're not. And that's why I believe that the $40 price tag is the majority of the problem of why people are not playing it. Travis says 30, you ever notice that each time a new game comes out, it's either, it's a huge success or it's worse. Blank of blank. I don't... That's a blanket. That's the blanket that you're saying. If you want to say, like, the AAA games because they're underneath the microscope type of thing, I could say sure. Okay? But it's also... You got to remember, I don't make videos and put out there and put, like, a thumbnail that says, worst game ever. Right? We do our live show, and this is it. Like, if you sit through this and you go to the breaking points, the timeline that I have, you can listen to me say certain things, but I'm not using it to promote it. But that's the way society works, right? because it has to be the best game ever, or it has to be the shittiest game ever, because that's how you get clicks and money. And the way society and the way it transitions now, that's what it is. So when a big AAA game comes out, right now it's Star Wars Outlaws, people are riding that wave of either you're making videos of telling people where to find the stuff in the game, you're making videos on shitting on the game, you're making reviews on how good or not good the game is, right? And that is just the way it is. That is the cycle. And because people like yourself and everybody else in this chat watches YouTube or goes to Twitter, you're in that and you see it more and more. Where people outside of this don't see that. They don't see the shit talking of the game. They just see, they go to Target, they go to Walmart, they go to things and they go, they're watching commercials and they're like, oh, Ubisoft's got a new game, Star Wars? I like Star Wars, right? And they just buy the game and play the game, right? So to say that each time a new game comes out, it's either this or that, it's because it's the cycle that you're in. It's what you're watching. Krebsy says, after watching back the Concord announcement trailer, it gives off the PvE game vibes and not PvP. Agree? I agree 100%. When we watched it the very first time, I was like, oh, what's this? We said Guardians of the Galaxy vibe, right? I knew nothing about, and then I was like, oh, cool, right? And then they're like, oh, it's a PvE. And I was like, oh, it's a hero shooter? I was like, I'm out, right? I was interested. They had me with the cinematic trailer and whatnot, and then I was like, oh, yeah, no, never mind. Jones, I'm a lover of dead games, Paragon, Battleborn. I'm right there with you, man. I like a lot of games that weren't popular or got closed down or whatnot. Good Papa says 100%. This is why last night I was mentioning that I think that the games as service MMO or something like Destiny, but was changed. I agree 1000% with that. I feel like when you say 8 years and then you give us a hero shooter, something changed along the way. I reckon we could have amazing conversations considering I'm 50. We can have amazing conversations as long as you can have a conversation. I don't care if you're 50, 40, 30, 20. You're a squeaker. That's when we have problems. I love having conversations. Go on, Sin. I didn't any vibes from Concord announcement trailer other than trying to bite off the Starfield sandwich with giggling hamburger in space. I would show noting that it lets us know what it was. Yeah, the cutscene, I was like, oh, cool. I 100% thought it was Guardians of the Galaxy type of feels. I thought it was going to be a single-player action-adventure game, and then all of a sudden they're like, nope, hero shooter. I was like, that's like a wet fart. Right? You fart, you shit yourself, and you're like, yeah, I gotta go change. I gotta go change. They watch IGN, Vandal. Yeah. Well, no, even those people. I don't think a lot of people watch IGN either. I mean, 37 million people says otherwise. But what I'm saying is, even those people, they might glance by or watch it, but the casual gamer just kind of like whatever. I mean, think about it. If 37 million people, I think it's 37 million people, right? Subscribers or whatever the fuck they have, right? There's 250 million people that are playing video games on console. 37 million watch IGN. So there's a lot more people that don't watch that shit. Roadkill says, yeah, I'm about 11 hours into Star Wars Outlaws now, and I like it. It's a good game. Yeah, I think it's a good game. It's got fundamental problems. I think it needs another year into the chamber to cook, but it's a good game. Buddha Papa says 30 out of the people who bought Concord, 10% are probably just chill gamers who don't pay attention to social media. Yeah, and that's for every game, you could say. Krebsy says, because the announcement trailer dropped May of 2023 and looked like a PvE game, and then 1 year later, the gameplay trailer launched in May of 2023 as a PvP game, or 2024 in the PvP game. So did the game change sometime during the 1 year? I just don't know why you would make all the cutscenes and the stories like they are if it was a hero shooter. You know what I'm saying? Go on, New Tech. It's going good. It's going good. Kurt says, I'm waiting for a discount. I still want Outlaws. Huge Star Wars fan. I'll be honest, Holidays coming up. Wait a couple months. I guarantee you it'll drop to like $50, $40. And put it out there, Kurt. I said the other day, I think it's worth the $70 if you're a big Star Wars fan. If you're not a big Star Wars fan and you're not a big stealth guy type of thing, I would wait. Or if you don't want to wait, right, to buy it, you can play the $18. I think the $18, just know if you get Ubisoft Plus, subscribe and then unsubscribe same day. So that way you can play for the month and then don't get charged another one when you forget or you're like, I don't have time to play it or whatever. Sin says, I'm talking about the announcement trailer, though. They showed no characters at all at the announcement trailer. Just a ship. Jingling hamburger, doing the ship, doing the grave. Right. I'll be honest with you. I totally forgot about the original trailer. FNT says, do you think Concord would do with Starline up from PlayStation IP? I don't know. What's Starline, FNT? I would have to look that up. What's Starline? Doesn't ring a bell in my head. I don't think this is it. That can't be it. Remember what the Concord trailer, they called it a Starfield killer? I don't remember that. That's because those people didn't even know what the hell fuck it was either, right? Dupetex says, I just finished Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Now I'm playing Starfield games. Don't release finished. I'm catching up on my backlog. Well, thank God Avowed got canceled for you, huh? Dupetex, so pushed back to 2025 to save you for your backlog. Okoki says, Hogwarts, Stellar Blade, Wukong, Outlaws. These are all illustrations of controversy sells and feeds the algorithm. Yeah, Hogwarts boggled my mind last year when it's such a good game. And it didn't get nominated for fucking anything. All because of what the author of the books said. Like, the game itself is a really good game. And it got no recognition, at least from the Keighley Fest awards. Concord tried something different. It just didn't work. Did they try something different? What's different about Concord than any other game? That's the problem, Kurt. They didn't make a defined decision of how to make this game different than other games. Oh, you're good, Sin. You type like I speak, so we're good. Is that the game you're talking about? Starlink? Okay, hold on. Let me look it up. Oh, this is that game. Or I should say, isn't this that game that came out where they also made the toys for that, Noob Tech? Wasn't this that one that came out where they also sold the actual toys? That was a new action-adventure game assembled of a custom starship mounted to the game controller. Yeah. Eclipse says, yeah, I play them all. Two predecessors definitely... oh, you're talking about someone else, Robert Jones. Yeah, no, Starlink, here, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they had a toy line. Okay? They actually had a toy line. And I thought the ships and stuff were cool. I remember actually on this show, we watched the guy who was showing us gameplay in this, and he showed us the ships and whatnot. Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff that you could buy with the toys. And I thought it was really cool, right? I thought it was really cool. I was like, oh, that's cool. Selling. Yeah. I remember it. But you see? Leaves my head. Oh, I didn't want that. Get that out of here. Hit the subscribe button. FT says, personally, I reckon that the Concord failure is it has no heroes. It needs Ratchet, God of War. David Jaffe said this, I think, on another podcast. I think it was on before, and someone brought it up in my channel. He said, should they, and David Jaffe said that they should bring in, like, God of War. They should bring in those characters. I talked about it on the last podcast that we did on Thursday, GXG. I said that would be actually a really smart move. If they took Concord and brought in all the IPs that Sony owns, right? So now you're bringing in a Guardian from Destiny, you're bringing in God of War, you're bringing in Ratchet and Clank, you're doing all these things, and you have the characters from Concord, like you open up a fucking portal or whatever, and these characters are coming in, and now it's a hero shooter with the heroes plus their characters, and then you make a story around it, then maybe you can get something going, right? Something different, right? But just generic characters that are just checking boxes, I think that's a wrong move. But again, it doesn't matter what you do, because if you put God of War and all the other characters in the game and you're still doing that $40 price tag, maybe people come in and go, oh, you know what, that's really cool. You could be Kratos inside this game. Maybe. But if you open that shit up where anyone can come in and play it and then charge for the skins, I think you're going to have a much better player base. Now, games like this, I've said, for Marvel Rivals, they need as many heroes as possible, villains and heroes as possible, to keep that player base interested. Why? Because people that like Marvel games want to be their character, and there might be a character that someone doesn't, that loves, but they're not in the game. Like, maybe they're waiting for Puck, right? Maybe they're waiting for Puck, and Puck's in the game. They're like, oh my God, they got Puck in the game, and they come in because they love Puck from X-Men, okay? Or maybe they like Doc Ock, and Doc Ock comes in the game, right? Maybe it's whatever character it is, obscure character, famous character. That's why people would come in that game. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe they put Nightcrawler in there. Whatever. Okay? That's why they would come back for this. They don't have that luxury with the generic characters. They got to make the characters either really badass looking and make me want to know about these characters, or they have to make characters that are already known and bring them into the game. Be careful, though. It starts a Kratos and Ratchet. Next thing you know, we'll get Nicki Minaj. Whatever. If Nicki Minaj is a major game in the IP of that Sony owns, then fucking put her in the game. All right? There's a difference between what you're saying, Travis, and what I'm saying. I'm saying you're taking famous characters from your IPs. If Astro Boy's in there, and you have from, I can't say her name, Aloy is in there, Kratos is in there, Nathan Drake's in there, right? You get all the characters that are big IP characters, and you bring them into the world of Concord, where you're fighting with them and playing with them. Now you get some buzz going on because of the IPs and the characters that are all from the games. Noobtech says, Valve was giving codes on the Hush Hush. Everyone is playing Deadlock. Overwatch is down. Concord dead. There's 100% of these people in Deadlock. You think Firewall can also go toe-to-toe with Valve. Well, here's the thing. Deadlock is a Steam game. Team Fortress, that type of crowd, right? Valve has that market locked down in Steam, right? So those people that are playing, that's not coming to console that I know, and if it is, there's no word on it yet, right? It's just on Steam. Where Concord is trying to get into the Steam market. They're trying to get into the PC player base, right? So you're looking at at Valve, who's been there for 20 years, compared to PlayStation, who doesn't want to put their games on PC. So that's also another problem, right? Now they're putting it out there. Altern says, "I bet Nicki Minaj will have will be her alt would be her sitting on someone's face, maybe, or maybe singing, and then everyone's like her, right? She starts to sing. Yeah, maybe." Yeah, there's a show tonight, B. There's a show tonight. Well, to be fair, Jason, right? You said, to be fair, I'd rather play as Nicki than any of these base Concord characters. That's because you know who Nicki Minaj is, right? You might like her or not like her, but at least you know who she is. You have no idea who these fucking characters are in this game. His pronouns would be God, War, and Dad. You think Deadlock's coming to console? That'd be a whole nother conversation and problem to have, especially if it's like crossplay. If it's crossplay with PC and Xbox. Brand Eclipse says, Multiverse put the mini golf course in one of the Rift matches. That's pretty cool. I haven't even thought about that game, Eclipse. Haven't even thought about that game. I played it when it first came out, like years ago when it was in beta. Then when it first came out again, me and you played together. Since that time, I don't think I've touched it. There you go. That's her special. Her ult is singing, and then after that, people are in pain, and then they pickpocketed them. Dead. Yeah. Deadlock works with SBI too, and it isn't already hitting harder than Concord. Didn't destroy a silly SBI narrative. What I think the difference are, though, Vandal, is that Deadlock is not promoting that, and they also have cool looking characters, right? So even if there is the SBI stuff or the DEI stuff in there, again, they're not promoting it as to sell the game. You see what I'm saying? There's a difference between what these companies are doing and what they're not doing. If I'm marketing my, hey, you guys need to watch, you guys need to play my game because we check all the boxes. And someone else going, you need to play our game because it plays really, it's a really fun game to play. Oh, and by the way, they have the same thing as that. They're not putting that on the poster. Travis says, multi what now? Ron loves Redfall. He just doesn't want to admit it. All right. Kratos is Reinhardt. Alloy as Hanzo. Ratchet can be Torbjorn. Tracer as Joel. Can be a golfer. He also be the Bioshock. Dad Robot. Also Roadhog. Nathan Drake. Can also be Soldier 76. Yeah. If they should do a rework, Krebsy. Right? They should do a rework. Noobtech says, every game is cross-play game. Die without cross-play in 2024. Console people will be eating good. I'm playing 6 early access games. Nothing is announced, but all working on console ports. Here's the thing about, as long as, if they do cross-play, as long as the console can turn that off when they're matchmaking and stuff, if they want to play with PC or not, I'm okay with that, right? if it's the option of instead of being forced to. All right, let's go to the second story. It's with Concord as well. Okay, this is from IGN. It says Concord is another high-profile victim of AAA painful long development time. Okay, if you guys like what we do here, we just talk about gaming news, stories, entertainment. We read the stories first right here, give you my thoughts and opinions, and then we have conversation with chat. If you like that, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Okay, so Concord PlayStation Online, a hero shooter from a first-party studio, Firewalk, launches a week. The Steam's concurrent player rate of 697, according to SteamDB. Describe the launch as dismal and underestimated. Underestimated. But while the three-figure players count is captured headlines and provoked ridicule across the internet, the details caught my eye on Concord reportedly spent 8 years in development. This means Concord begins the journey sometime around 2016, the same year Blizzard released Overwatch. Now, Firewalk Studio is made up of veterans from Bungie and Activision, two of the foremost makers of online PvP shooters, so it's no surprise to attempt at the toe-to-toe with the Overwatch to win over fans in the game given the staff pedigree. But what saying goes, if you aim for the king, you better show the 8 years late. Okay? So with so many games now taking close of a decade from being on the development to release, we're starting to see a financial and creative consequences of the overlong development cycle. Spend too much time in development in the idea, or once a novel are no longer vogue. Furthermore, the time of the money spent over the years has spent recouping somehow, which leads to the decision like the $40 cost of entry of Concord when many of the peers are free to play. Now, the cost of coming late to the party means that you must bring something new to the table. Unfortunately, Concord is neither particularly innovative nor content-heavy, and said that it does have a level of polish. At launch, it was also often the absence from the hero shooter peers, which also the first released. Indeed, Concord weekly animation stories drops are fully motion captured, and Firewalk time spent in crafting the lore has helped secure Concord in the episode of the Winter's video game animation and anthology series. Okay, Secret Level, which I'm really excited to watch. Question is, it's been out for a week now, hasn't it? Or is tomorrow a week? Right? When does that first cutscene come in? Right? When does that first cutscene come in? It says, but well-established hero shooters like EA's Apex Legends launched almost bare bones and still managed to make a splash thanks to integrating central concept with the combined hero loadouts with Battle Royale match format. Valve's Deadlock doesn't even have a finalized asset of art, but it's also still caused a huge burst of excitement amongst the PC community, thanks to the way of it changes up the classic 6v6 hero formula with the heavy lane, mid-MOBA mechanics. But the contracts of Concord appear to be an all too familiar offering, and frankly, the time to spend finance. I can't say the word. I see the word, and I can't say the word. Fuck you, COVID. Okay, is a presentation of the graphic and motion capture performance and so on, likely led to the later release date, and which also turned into most valuable time establishing itself amongst its peers. If it had been released 4 or 5 years ago when PlayStation 5 first came out, maybe on launch would also have been an entirely different story. So that begs the question, was the length of time spent in development worth it? That's the question, right? We had a question. We've been talking about it for the last couple of days. Was there more to this game than what we're seeing on the surface? Was this a PvE game somewhere down the line? Did they change development along the path like Skull and Bones did or other games along the way, right? I guess we'll find out down the road. Okay, it says, we know it takes longer than ever to make a AAA game, while other technology improvements have brought a previously unimaginable levels of detail. Consumers have now spent decades expecting bigger open worlds, better graphics, and more follicles of characters than ever before. Now, this has created a vicious cycle where the studios want to meet those particular player expectation. Games must take longer and make them that need to make the bar set of technology advancements achieved prior to games, right? And we talk about this all the time. Like, if a game comes out, and another game comes out, like a looter shooter, it has to do just a little bit better than what this game was. You can be like, oh yeah, they did everything that this game did, and they add a little bit more to it. Did this do it, right? Does Concord do that with the other games? This creates a very risky dilemma, particularly for those aiming to dominate the live service space. Knowing the cost of development time required for AAA online studio have an asset predicted and simply guess as what they will need the next big hit. What game will be success in 4 to 5 or 6 years? Time is also beginning development right now. Okay. And this is what we talked about yesterday with Legendary Drops when in his video. Like, they're trying to make a game. Like, right now, what's a big game? Helldivers 2. So right now, there's developers all sitting going, you see how much money they made? Or Power World, see how much money they made? We need to make a game like that right now. Well, their mission is now 3 to 5 years from now to make the same game as Power World, to make the same game as Helldivers 2. So 5 years from now, 4 years from now, we're going to see a lot of games that are just like Helldivers 2. We're going to see a lot of games like Power World, okay? Because they want to capitalize on that. But 5 years from now, we might not be interested in Power World, games like Power World, or not interested in games like Helldivers 2, okay? It says, will the audience still care for that kind of game when it's finally ready to release it? Practically requires a service to be a fortune teller to get the answers right. Some get it right. Blizzard correctly judged the appetite for Team Fortress 2, like Shooter adopted the hero kits of MOBA, and others get it wrong in Epic's original tower defense version of Fortnite. Yeah, Fortnite, 8 years of development. 8 years of development for Fortnite. It bombed in 3 months, similar to Concord, okay? And then it changed. They changed it, go to Battle Royale. I don't think Concord has that ability. Can Concord all of a sudden change from this hero shooter to a PvP action adventure game? Probably not. Okay. So look at Wayfinder. Wayfinder was an MMO and then switched to a single player game, right? Hopefully we'll see if it works out for them. So luckily Epic had resources to pivot Fortnite as the online battle royale after witnessing the skyrocketing success of PUBG. It soon learned that the rewards are quickly jumping into the trend can be limitless, but quick, the optimal word here, right? And that's the reason that Fortnite succeeded, because they flipped it in 3 months, not 3 years, okay? Concord isn't the only game this year, but also the product poorly judged, time-consuming gamble and ever-changing landscape of live service games. Like Concord, Rocksteady's Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was released with a level of polish and detail unseen by other multiplayer online shooters. Now, also, like Concord, suffered from the lack of content innovation, and these flaws meant Suicide Squad was unable to attract players from the rival PvE games, while other alienating Rocksteady's fans to adore the studio's single-player Batman games. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League spent 9 years in development. Soon after release, publisher Warner Bros. Called the game disappointment and cost the company $200 million. Now, check out the difference between, like, say what you want about Suicide Squad. That map is gigantic. They have different maps, different areas. The graphics, everything about it is like much larger scale. So when you say that it's been in development for 8 to 9 years, you're like, all right, I can see that. What does Concord have that took 8 years? What do they have that took 8 years to make? Okay. So live service games by the nature are the mercy of the time more than any other format. It's in single player games and victim of overloading development cycles. Assassin's Creed Shadows, Ubisoft's long-awaited samurai ninja game set to the feudal Japan, is finally coming out this fall. The only problem is Sucker Punch released a very good open-world samurai assassins game almost 4 years ago in 2020, beating Ubisoft to the punch. This remains to be seen if it will affect Shadow's sales, but it's certainly a vocal section of the Assassin's Creed community that feels that Ghost of Tsushima has already proven the experience they wanted. That's true as well, right? Is there enough time passed where you're bringing Assassin's Creed Shadows out? Is there enough time passed from Ghost of Tsushima? And if PlayStation makes an announcement next month about Ghost of Tsushima 2 coming out, does that kill all hype for Assassin's Creed Shadows, even though Assassin's Creed Shadows is coming out this year? I don't know. Okay. So what's the solution? It's certainly not developers crunching themselves to death to make the games faster, but unfortunately, there's just no easy answer to the solution, and what, as far as I can tell, unique to the medium. Okay. One solution, it says, has been band-aided about the making of shorter games. Okay. Personally advocated for the need of more than half sequels like Uncharted Lost Legacy, or offer fans a chance to enjoy a new game to a beloved franchise, both at a lower price sooner than the full sequel game. But while I'm personally a fan of shorter games, I know I'm in the minority, he says. When games are $70, or she says, I don't even know who wrote the article. Matt. But while I'm personally a fan of shorter games, I know I'm in a minority. When games are $70 each, it's unsustainable. The many players that want something that offers significant bang for their buck, plus shorter lengths, is only potential solution for the big AAA franchises. We're now becoming accepted. We also want a new Fallout or GTA or Last of Us are going to be waiting for the decade for it. So for online games like Concord and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, though, it might just be is that the longer you spend losing the ground of rival games, the worse the outlook is at launch. You either need a completely novel gameplay mechanic like Apex Legends or Deadlock, or your game has to be juiced, as the kids say. What does that mean? It has to be juiced, like filled, like to the brim? Like what does that mean? I'm asking as a 46-year-old. The game has to have juice? What is that? Like fuel has to be burning? Like what's going on there? All I know for sure is releasing Overwatch compared to 2 years after Overwatch 2 was released feels like a mighty disadvantage. Chad, I need the term juiced in this context. I don't know what it means. All right. So Sarge says they're chasing. I think the cinematic videos was a mistake. I think they made them because it was a single-player game. At some point, they changed it along the way. That's what I think, noob. Sarge says, we were not expecting they were advertising it. We are bigger, better, etc. They set the bar. We did not. Right. Papa says the only BR and hero shooter that can charge money anymore is Smash Brothers, period. End. Robert Jones says player unknown dev was mad as hell at Epic. Yeah, they gave them the engine to make their game. And they're like, hey, what about if we do what they're doing? They're like, yeah, okay, that sounds good. Travis says Ghost of Perfection 2. The Assassin's Creed shadow will also be a different hands. Bottom line, the suits want guaranteed money, and that's not how it works. Art is a gamble, not a guarantee. Well, that's another thing, Sarge. A lot of these companies think that they make the game, and because they're making it, they're like, yep, it's going to make billions. East Vandal says Samurai games aren't flooded the market yet. AC Shadows will do fine. There's a couple of smaller Samurai games that are out there that we've seen. I think you're right. I don't think they're flooded the market. Yeah, I don't know. Juice equals the vibe, the moment, or the momentum. Okay, juice it up. Got it. The guys at Firewalk with 8 years of development must have learned from Bungie how to float the investment money. Yeah, I don't know, man. 8 years, like what the hell? Krebsy says juicer up is a turn the dial up to 11. Robert Jones says COD, Madden, FIFA, and 2K are the only guarantees in gaming. Yeah, I'm trying to think. When you say 2K, you mean like GTA type of thing, right? Yeah, COD's guaranteed. Madden's guaranteed. FIFA's guaranteed. Noob Tech says Space Marines devs said that they're adding a horde mode. That was quick response to fans. Well, that's good that they're adding it. Hopefully co-op works. Co-op better work day one. I will not buy it day one. I'm going to wait for reviews. I'm going to wait for other people playing it. But we will play Space Marine down the road. If it's 1 week, 1 month, we'll play it. I don't know if Battlefield is guaranteed. Like, their numbers fluctuate heavily. Travis. Heavily. They go from like 3 million copies sold to like 14 million copies sold. Yeah, Mario. Here, I saw something today on QVC on Twitter. What's his name? Mario. What's his name? Mario 60. Wario 64. he had something that he posted earlier, and this makes me wonder if pre-order sales are down. Let me see if I can find it real fast. Yeah. This makes me wonder if The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is having problems, because right here, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom Switch pre-order is $34.99 at QVC. So I wonder because Nintendo games don't go on sale. Okay, so I wonder if you order this, right, for new accounts, right, discount code for new accounts, they're teaming up with QVC to give this game for $34.99, which is very odd because usually Nintendo games don't go that way. That's true. That's true, Jones. Battlefield can't be guaranteed when they're worried about the Halo numbers. They used, well, Halo killed our game. Like, did you not know a Halo game was coming out? Did you not know a Halo game was coming out? All right, the next story I want to talk about is from Paul Tassi from Forbes. I saw this headline and I was like, okay, challenge accepted. We'll read this. I haven't read it, but I saw this and I was like, the woke war. Why the right believes it's dominating gaming and TV in 2024. Okay. So we'll read this, and I'll give you my thoughts on it. Okay. All right. It says, as someone who's painfully plunged into the online discourse to the point of where I may soon just need to go live or live in the Arctic cabin somewhere, I have borne witness to a narrative this year in the media landscape, namely across the movies and TV, where the right-wing media consumes influencers and believe that they are defended woke games and shows, and also who support them, while claiming wins of their own. It feels like they're also a new one of those that comes up every month, and they also figure that it's time to break down the perception of what's going on here and the reality of what's happening. Now, I find it a little odd that we just read a Digital Trends article talking about sort of the same thing, right? Like there's this thing that's happening that's not happening, but it is happening, okay? And that the article says it's not happening. And then Paul Tassi has one that says it's also not happening because he's going to break it down for us. He's going to break it down for us and tell us what the reality is and what the woke is, right? And I just think that's kind of funny, but let's continue, okay? It says successive anti-woke things are claimed as scalps, whether it's actually intent to that work or for not. Failures of woke things are purely because they're woke, not any other reason at all, ignoring that any other are factors, and this happens every time, and it's time to add them all up. And here's how what's going on. Prepare to cope and seethe, as they say. He says, woke loses. Okay. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Okay. Perception. This was a woke version of the Arkham universe in which characters like Harley Quinn were more conservatively dressed than previously, which is true. And then there was also things that pride flags hanging in the base headquarters and consulting agencies named Sweet Baby Inc. was used in development of the game and advised them of not making anything, of making things overly inclusive, which they did. Okay. The reality of it is that Suicide Squad failed mightily because of its live service game after Rocksteady has also made an entire fan base devoted to a single-player superhero offering, which is also reality, okay? I agree that that's one of the reasons that it also failed. But to negate that it didn't fail because of the wokeness in there is just being one-sided, is it not? Right? Obviously, just like the other article we just read about, I believe it's the $40 price tag, but it was also everything else about the game. It didn't differentiate itself of Concord. To say that this is the perception and this is what reality is, and not include what your perception is inside that reality, shows me what side you're on. Okay? I'm on the side of make a game, sell a game. Not preach about what I should or shouldn't be. Okay? So it says offerings, and also particularly good one at that. It's also a goofy concept, giving all Task Force-esque members the same guns. Few differences in powers and absorbing the storyline halfway through to the live service concept, which features a dozen of Brainiac concepts, Brainiac copies, all based on the IP with the critically savaged movie of box office failures in the DC universe. Supposedly, woke critics scored the game as 60, one of the lowest major releases of the year. So the perception of this in this first example of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and the reality of this is that this right here in the perception is part of the reality of why the game didn't succeed. Okay. The second one here is Concord. Perception. A hero shooter that failed because the heroes were not attractive enough and they were virtually signaling and putting pronouns in their select screens. The reality of Concord failing was Concord started development right after Overwatch launched in 2016 and arrived in the shooter landscape dated, with the ill-conceived $40 price tag and the free-to-play landscape failing to meaningfully stand out from its competition. Its character design were poor, not for the hotness reasons, but because of the lack of other games that also plenty of similarity, size, and age characters had done much better. Supposedly, woke critics scored the same game 65, lower than all its multiplayer rivals. Again, the perception here of a hero shooter failed because the heroes were not attractive enough is also reality of why it didn't succeed. Right? That's it. To take that part out of it and say, well, it didn't fail because of the perception of it. It failed because of the reality. Yes, it did fail because of these reality things, and the perception part is part of the reality. Okay? Third is the Acolyte. Okay, perception. The woke series featured essentially no white male characters and focused on the cult of space witches, at least a pair of which were lesbians. The showrunner is a lesbian, and her wife is in the show, and the series broke canon and disrespected true Star Wars fans. This cancellation was even celebrated by Elon Musk, who declared the series went woke and went broke, and the eternal mantra of this group. First off, I don't know why Elon Musk has anything to do with this, of why the show failed, okay? I do know Paul has an obsession with Elon Musk, but that's another problem in general. The reality of why The Acolyte failed is the show cost $180 million to make. It was the least watched Star Wars show, which is not surprised given that it was trying to tell a story with a wholly original characters and no connection to the Skywalker era. Every time people said it broke canon upon closer inspection, it did not in fact break canon. The critics either misunderstood the source material or claiming Legends was still canon. Cost of viewership was the reason it was canceled. No. The people that they put in, the memory berries that they put in, about Keanu Mundi, dropping Yoda in there, putting a character there that was supposed to be Dark Plagueis, that if you're just a normal person watching the show, you wouldn't know that, but they put it in there, is 1,000%. How about bad writing? How about bad acting? How about bad filmmaking? Just overall is why it failed. Also, again, the perception of why it failed is exactly why, because someone was trying to tell a story. The artist was trying to tell a story, but inserting themselves into the show and then changing the canon of what Jedis were. Jedis are not the bad guys. Okay? It doesn't matter what side of the world you're looking from. Jedis are not the bad guys. Okay? But each their own, right? So that's the perception. Again, the perception of it is also part of the reality of why the show failed. Okay? Anti-woke wins, he says. Stellar Blade. Perception. The game was a big hit for AAA newcomers Shift Up because it embraced the idea of real gamers want attractive women in their games, and they're also provided plenty of fan service, outfits, and fulfilled that desire. Reality. Stellar Blade is a solid action game. On the whole, reviewed well amongst all video game journalists, draw an 81 on Metacritic, and hurled as a great first effort for Shift Up. Correct. Again, perception. The people are interested in the game because it's attractiveness. It doesn't matter if they want to bang the main character or not. It's that they look at the game, the fighting mechanics, the girl, the way she looks attractive, which then brings people, hey, what is that? Oh, it's a fighting game. Oh, and it's a good looking, right? Again, the perception of why it was successful is also the reality of why it was successful. Okay. Helldivers 2, perception. A game about killing bugs and the bots and without woke agenda was also a celebration of a kind of patriotism, and the left fails to embrace the modern era. The reality, the entire game is based on Starship Troopers, a very clear, famous skewering of those concepts. Journalists scored the game in 82, and it's also been a conversation of a possible, if not likely, Game of the Year shortlist candidate. Okay? Again, it was successful because people said that there was no agenda, and they supported what they liked, right? So the perception of why it was good is the reason it was good once again, okay? It has lots to do why games fail, right? Because if I have a hamburger place and the vegans are not eating at my hamburger place, and I change my hamburger place to a vegan place, and then all of a sudden I go out of business because the hamburger guys are not coming in for the meat anymore, right? I can't say as the perception is my hamburger place is failing because the vegans are not buying the vegan burgers, and the perception is reality, right? The people that are eating the meat are not coming to this place because I am serving vegan burgers, okay? That's just facts. The first descendant, perception, is that the PvE hero shooter is full of attractive women, which is also responsible for the surging popularity in its live plans. So far, it's been introducing more attractive women to ensure the ongoing success. The reality is the game succeeds mainly because it's well-structured looter with meaningful progression systems and endless targeted farms. It also struggles with RNG. However, the game has been player count drops down from 265,000 on Steam to 40,000 in a couple of months, so its long-term failure is uncertain. Or long-term future is uncertain. Failure. I'm okay. Again, men are really simplistic. We're really simplistic. You ever see those things of on the internet where what the wife thinks the guy's doing and what they're actually doing, right? They have this like long, big plan of they're cheating on me. They're doing all these things, right? And meanwhile, all they're doing is playing video games with their friends, or they're throwing a ping pong ball against the wall 1,000 times to see if they can do it, right? We're real simplistic, right? Guys look at this and say, PvE shooter, I like guns. I like attractive women. Again, the perception of why the game is doing well is the reality of why the game is doing well. Okay? And Black Myth Wukong. Perception. Games media wanted this game to fail based on the IGN article discussing sexism with the game science in the past, and success is a blown against the woke agenda. Reality. The game is absolutely crushing a massive hit of China, where no one has considered any of these controversies in purchasing. Again, game journalists score the game a very positive 81. What I find funny here, okay, is that Wukong, which is an 81, is super successful. And I'm not taking anything away from Wukong. But Starfield, which I believe also has like low 80s, is an absolute disaster. And it can't be talked into Game of the Year or anything like that, right? Wukong, 81, masterful. Another game with 81's like, it's just barely passing by. But each their own. Here, again, the perception of why the game is succeeding is, again, exactly why people are talking about that this game didn't have enough diversity from Screen Rant and IGN mistranslating what the developers said about the game, okay? Which is a completely separate problem. But that problem shows people going, these people want this game to fail off multiple articles, right? That is the perception, but that's also the reality. These people wanted the game to get into bad light because when you review a game, that's definitely right. You want to know about gameplay. You want to know about the actual graphics, how it runs. Nope. They report the articles of, well, there's not enough inclusion and diversity in the game, right? That's not a perception. That's reality. Okay. So that all that perception stuff and every single one of his examples needs to go into the reality category as well. He says the mental gymnastics here are always one of the following. The game's considered woke fails, and the reason it is because it is woke. Okay, the game succeeds must not be woke, or the woke aspects can also be explained away and not really being woke after all. The game is considered anti-woke for some people's perceived reasons, and begin anti-woke is the reason that it's a hit. A sentence of 2 from a single review, a specific tweet means all the woke journalists or players love or hate something. He says, it's a set of moving goalposts. We love moving goalposts over here. It's over here somewhere. Okay, it's moved. Okay. Convenient for the narrative in the moment. Baldur's Gate 3 is a wokest game on the planet Earth and won scores of Game of the Year awards of it. Not really woke because of, after all, its attractive characters in it. Okay. You could say that the same amount of every major hit of the past decade is also some form of another. Again, I said it in the first article today, and I'll say it again in this article. There's a difference between a game that uses the wokeness, the DEI, the SBI to promote a game, and a game that doesn't use that and just puts a game out there. Okay? That is the difference. If your game is good, it will speak for itself. If it's not good, okay, it will also speak for itself. All this other stuff is thrown on top for the narrative of people that are following this stuff, right? Think about YouTube the way it is. If you watch one video on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, it's going to go, this person liked this video. Even though you didn't hit like, you watched the video and you watched it for a certain period of time. So it says, hey, they like this. I'm going to show them more of this. So then you just go down the rabbit hole of this type of content, right? So if you read something or watch something that is woke, okay, they're going to show you more woke things to get you to engage in the conversation, right? Because they want to get you mad. They're not going to put something nice in your timeline because that doesn't get people to engage, okay? They want to get you mad, and hence why when you watch something, they show you more of the same stuff to get you. Same thing here, okay? If you engage with something that does this stuff, it's going to keep showing you more stuff of the stuff that you're watching. On the other side of games claim, anti-woke players like Stellar Blade or the First Descendant are in no way owned by them. They either reviewed well amongst the supposedly woke games media, or they have player bases far more expansive than those who are playing because of the attractive characters exist in them. The truth is no one is making the games to be crowded specifically, which is part of what upsets them and what forced them to break down these wins and losses in their own minds. This won't stop. It's getting worse in recent years, but it's also important to understand what's going on here and what isn't, despite on what it's claimed. No, everything that he said is happening and isn't happening. The stuff that he puts into the perception is part of reality, okay? But the problem is with the reality and the perception is that if you keep watching that stuff, it's going to keep going down that rabbit hole and show you more of that stuff. So then you start to perceive it as, well, this is the only reason that this game is succeeding or the only reason the game is failing. And it's not just black and white. There's a lot of stuff. And a lot of people that like the show like Acolyte is much less than the people that hate Acolyte. So when the people like Acolyte and they go out there and they're like, oh, I like Acolyte, and everyone else is like, well, the show is shit. Those people are defending their thing that they love the most. Again, we talked about it earlier. I love Marvel's Avengers. I will not sit here and defend Marvel's Avengers to you, okay? It did good things. It did bad things. The game was not successful, right? Hence why you can't play it anymore. You can't purchase it anymore, okay? But I love Marvel's Avengers. But I'm not going to pretend to go, yeah, Marvel's Avengers is... Yeah, they threw stuff in there that was like, why? Why would you do this? Okay, fundamentally, the game was bad, not because it was woke. Okay, it was bad because they didn't make an end game. It was bad because they made it a live service game. Okay, but if it was woke inside there, that's also another reason why people aren't playing it. Again, we just talked about Concord. Concord is not specifically losing because of the $40 price tag. I believe it's the majority of the reason why people are not playing. But even if you get through that gate and then people start playing it, they go, the gameplay is not very good. Oh, I don't like the character models. I don't like this. These are all things that are right and also wrong on all games that are across the board. So to say that it's the perception and this is the reality, perception is reality if people believe it, right? These are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe. If you like what I do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. All right, let me see what you guys are saying here. Robert Jones says, I don't think woke was the main driver, but it's definitely in the car. Main problem was it was not Batman. Right. But what he's saying that it's just a perception. It's not actually there. No, it's in the car, as you're saying. It's 100% in the car. Waterbear says, I do believe that Suicide Squad was better overall. The wokeness wouldn't have caused it actual fail. They also content lack thereof is the real reason it failed. Right. But it's also a problem because that stuff is in there. So much so that in the written dialogue of Harley Quinn in the very beginning of the game, when they open up the locker, she sees her outfit and she says "as if," and she shuts it and then makes her own more masculine type of outfit, and then all of a sudden they sell you that outfit in the microtransaction store. Isn't that convenient, right? Right? We're forcing it down your throat to say that that's not the Harley Quinn you're going to get, and they're like, well, no one's playing the game. All right, throw in that outfit. East Fan says, who knows? The internet's got a hold of it, and it's losing its meaning. Yeah, for sure. Oh, Noob Text puts it in there. Woke alert and concern for social injustice and discrimination. Is that the definition? Papa says Tassie hates Musk because Musk can't be bought into the political ideology like himself. Rollkill says Elon Musk is a Star Wars fan. That's why. Paul doesn't follow Elon Musk because he's a Star Wars fan, though. He follows him because he hates him. Every time he does something, he says something about it. Which is, I find hypocritical, because he's using a platform of the person he hates. But hey, whatever. Travis says, I agree to disagree that the Jedi and the Sith are both equal bad, and the whole point of them is both that they're flawed, and those flaws are dangerous. Sure, but they're the story of Star Wars is there's good and evil, okay? And into what we know about Star Wars is that the Jedi are good. The Empire is evil, okay? But the Empire, obviously, because the Clone Wars show that the Jedi were becoming generals of these characters, but meanwhile they're being manipulated by the actual bad guy, okay? Which then turned on them and then made them the bad guys by the people they were controlling, which were clones, which were sheep, which are people that have implants in their head to turn on the people that are actually good, okay? But it's good and evil, okay? Now, you could like the bad guys, right? Sarge loves the Empire. Sarge loves the Decepticons, right? There's good and evil, right? You can like certain things, but you also have to admit that there's good and evil. And to make the Jedi bad in this world doesn't make any sense in the Acolyte, okay? They literally made them children traffickers. The Jedi stole a girl from a bunch of witches, okay? And then tried to cover it up. Like, that's just some creepy shit. But write what you know, right? Write what you know. Roadkill says Starfield's a disaster because it's supposed to be the next gen game of 200 loading screens, and it's just not acceptable nowadays. Yeah, but why is an 8? What is Starfield's Metacritic? Let me see. Starfield's Metacritic is a 83. An 83. Okay. So Starfield, 83, game is garbage. It's the bane of people's existence. Wukong's an 81, masterful. Masterful. I just think the review process is kind of bad. That's what I'm saying. Okay. The right isn't pushing anything in gaming. Some devs just aren't trying to woke stuff. Right. If I own a business and I want to be the biggest and broadest business possible, I'm not going to market that I'm one side or the other. I just want everyone to come enjoy the content or the bakery or the hamburgers or my video games or my car, whatever. This is why people get upset with companies, because they choose a side. Just be the entertainment. Just be the product. Don't choose sides and then be the victim after you do it. right? Be proud of it. You want to come out and say we're the most inclusive game, we have the most diversity, we support all this stuff, and then your game bombs? And then you blame the people that didn't support your game? That's not my bad. That's your bad. Ron says, basically buy Asian-made games to avoid wokeness. Because they don't believe in this type, at least not right now anyway. Right? Who knows? I don't live over there to see what their culture is like every single day. But yeah, they just made a game. They just made a game. I don't think they made a game and said, "Hey, let's do this mythology of this, and let's make a monkey." And they're like, "Should we make the monkey female or male?" They just made a game. They're like, "We're gonna make a badass character. We're gonna make the fighting really good. We're gonna make the game really good." Right? Nope. Leave it to us over here in America to be like, "This game's not inclusive enough, not diverse enough." Right? They even wrote the article, there's not enough women in the game in the first 2 acts. Like, holy Christ. I'll do my other analogy. Okay. If you look at your grass outside, I always do this one. If you look at your grass outside, it looks beautiful. It looks perfect, pristine. But if you get down on your hands and knees and get into the grass, you'll see lots of divots and holes and bugs, creatures, little things. And you're like, oh my God. Right? If you're looking for it, you will find problems. Okay? If you're looking for it, you will find problems. Z says it's getting crazy because now I think it's fun to talk about this stuff that's locked behind the paywalls with sexy characters according to Indiana Jones game. What is happening? What's happening with Indiana Jones, Z? Did I miss something? Altern says they forgot people like crazy girls because they're hot, not because they're crazy. If the girl is crazy and looks like a man, well, it just stay away, far away. Kudapapa says 30. I can also say that Tassie hates him because Musk is actually successful and intelligent. Wukong scores an 87. Starfield's like a 68. Well, according to Metacritic, that we put up on the screen is an 83. And according to Metacritic, Black Myth Wukong is an 81. So I don't know what to tell you. Right? 81, 72. 85, 83. I mean, I'm just taking the same site, and I'm just comparing the two from the same site. Now we have 90 critic reviews, right? 90 critic reviews. What's the PC version over here? 80 critic reviews. So let's go over here to 75 critic reviews. Okay. Only 7 on PlayStation 5, by the way. Okay. All the user scores. You can also see how many people reviewed Bomb Starfield on Steam, and there's also a lot of 0.10 hours reviews. Noobtech says, I'm actually playing Starfield right now. Just pause to type this. And this game is running at 1400p. DLSS 3 performance is 3060, 12 gigabytes stable, 60 frames, and it runs. I'm level 13, having a blast. Right. Now, if we're talking about perception of Starfield, worst game ever created, right? Worst game ever created. Reality, people are actually liking and having fun. I'm excited about Shattered Space. I am. Ron says, why does job applications ask for race, pronouns, and sexual preference? Because they are woke? That's because, well, now they have it because they have to hit checklists and whatnot. Because it all depends on what business you're in. Lots of corporate offices won't hire certain because they hit the quota of certain races and ethnicities. And they don't want to hire certain people because then they will be talked to about, well, you don't have enough white people, or you don't have enough black people, or you don't have enough Hispanic people, or you don't have enough women, or you don't have enough men, right? And that's why they do what they do there. East Vandal says, there's no rhyme or reason Overwatch is successful. Concord isn't both are diverse. The anti-DEI is all political BS started by the right, and their anti-affirmation action BS. I don't think it's started by the right. Well, it all depends. Which ones are the Jedis and which one is the Empire, East Vandal? I think both sides use it for their own agenda. Would you not agree? And I think a lot of people, regardless of what side you're on, if you just want to play a video game, you just want to play a video game and you don't want it shoved down your throat. I think that's what we can all agree on that. It says, I think people that like Black Myth want it to be higher because they think that the game is amazing. I probably will never play this game. It's not my type of game. Yeah. There's plenty of games that are like 90s and close to perfection that just not my genre. I won't play it. I don't think the game is shit in any way, shape, or form. It could be a 10. Just not my cup of tea. Kurt says, don't break people's narrative. I think it's just silly to be one-sided and say that it's the right. I'm from the side of keep the shit out of it. I just want to play a video game. I just want to watch a show. I just want to watch a movie. Do we have one more thing to talk about, which is Sony announces a PlayStation Plus monthly games for September 2024. A couple games on here. Right, Travis. Right? Tell me a good story. Right? That's all I need. Good story. Show me good gameplay. I just need good gameplay. Right? Show me these two things. I don't care about who my NPC is sleeping with. Unless it's a part of the good story. Right? That's right, Ron. Kurt says, I'm still playing the horrible Starfield. How dare you, sir? How dare you still play it? Papa says, I don't want politics in my entertainment. I deal with politics idiots every day. Right? Just give me entertainment. I don't need a narrative or swing of why it is. And you know what the funny part is? We bring up stories and we talk about it on the channel. Otherwise, we don't talk about it, right? Because if the journalists stop writing it, okay, if they stop making their side of the story or whatever else is happening and just report on the fucking game, okay, then we would see less and less of it. We just want to play games. Outlaws has a great story, and it's not woke at all, but it has a woman as the main female, so there you go. I don't think there's a few people talking about it like it's woke because of the female character, and I don't think a female character means woke, Travis. There are people that think that, and that's why you might see that, but the narrative around this game is it's not bad because of her. It's not because of the character model, right? It's just an average game because of nothing is flushed out. Everything is sort of like put in the game, but nothing is really flushed out to make it great. The stealth is good, not great. Shooting's good, not great. The flying's good, not great, right? The story's good. I can't tell you if it's great yet because I'm not that too far along in it. There's certain parts of the game that I really enjoy, okay? But it doesn't do anything. The only thing it does well is the immersion of being in the Star Wars world. That's the only thing they dedicated themselves to do, to go, we're playing a Star Wars world. I just went to the third planet. I forget what the name, Keelam? I think it's Keelam. When you warp into this third planet, you're out in space, you see this fucking cloud in front of you, and then you have to land on the, like, it's cool, right? The immersion of the atmospheric area of the map and the village and the towns and the cities are awesome. They put 100% to make it. That's what they did. Everything else in the game is sort of like, let's put it in there. It's like filler. Not great, just good. It says, hey, did anybody hear about that they're going to try to make you get a PlayStation 5 Pro to play the Spider-Man 2 DLC? That's ridiculous. I already have the base game. Wait, say this again. Anybody here that's going to try to make you get the PlayStation 5 Pro to play the Spider-Man 2 DLC? Oh, you're saying that there's a rumor going around that the only way you're going to play the Spider-Man 2 DLC is on PlayStation 5 Pro? That would be a guillotine to PlayStation's fan base. But you know what? It wouldn't surprise me. PlayStation fanboys, they'll eat that shit up. They're like, yep, just gotta play on the best system ever. It's the only place you can play it. Like, what? No, that's not what you do. Let's see. Yeah, but see, I don't think, to say that it's woke, it's a pretty decent game, I don't think woke makes it a bad game in any way, shape, or form. I think the game itself makes a bad game. The people that don't even give it a shot because of the SBI, DEI, woke stuff, and then talking about the game without ever playing the game is one thing. To play the game and say the game is bad because of woke is not true, right? You could say you're not interested in that game and the sales are not doing good because of it. But to say a game is bad because of this, that's stupid. Right? The game itself tells you if it's a good game or not. Like the gameplay, the story, the music, the video, the graphics, whatever. That tells you. Like graphics, I don't think can be woke. Right? Gameplay, I don't think can be woke. I mean, I guess it could be. It all depends on what kind of game you make. Water says that's not even a rumor. That's not even true. Yeah, I hope it's not true, because that would be idiotic on Sony's part. Sarge says a female character is not an issue, but a lesbian trans man who's half black and Chinese for no other purpose to check boxes is. Right. Roka says, or at least we're not on Xbox claiming that we have the most powerful system in every game comes to 30 frames. See, this is the thing, Roadkill. I don't know why we have to make it about, like, those people, regardless if they're a ridiculous Sony pony or an X-bot, okay, is just asinine to me of how people do that. Like, play where you want to play, okay? It doesn't really matter, okay? People play on PC, they play on Switch, they play on Sony, they play on Xbox. To say that, like, that is like the screaming into the void of people that just say shit to say shit. Logic out the window. This is why when we talk about news stories on here, I'll read a news story and then I'll call it if it's bullshit or not. Or we look at it and say that's not real. That's not right. Or it's rumored. Right? There's stories out right now what the PlayStation 5 PlayStation 5 Pro is going to look like and whatnot. Great. I'll talk about it when we see it. Chris says Xbox fans with the made-up rumors, PlayStation is going to force people to get a Pro. PlayStation is going to be forced to. I don't think Nate is an Xbox fanboy. I'm pretty sure. I think he has a PlayStation and an Xbox, if I'm not mistaken. But what do I know? PlayStation is going to be forced to pay $20 Pro upgrades. PlayStation is going to bring the games to Xbox in 2025. They say lots of crazy things. Yeah, both sides do, Chris. You're absolutely correct. Right? You're absolutely correct. And see, I can see what side you're on because you said Xbox fans made up rumors, right? PlayStation fans don't ever make up rumors. You're absolutely right. PlayStation guys never make up rumors like the Xbox guys. See, now we're going down the rabbit hole of one side does it, the other side doesn't, which is just not true. Perception, reality. I think he was talking about Akuta Papa. I don't think so, because Nate's the one that said the thing. Yeah, both sides say bullshit stuff. Did you ever see me? Have we ever covered Dreamcast Guy? Have you ever seen me react to one of his videos? You ever see me bring him up in any way, shape, or form? You ever see me talk about Mike Zero in the entertainment world? No, I don't. There's reasons why. Oh, we're not console warring about anything right now, Dolphin. I'm just pointing out that people that make comments and say, "Oh, here we go with an Xbox fanboy making up rumors." Yeah, like PlayStation guys never do the same, right? They're both the same. One wears green, one wears blue. They're both insane. Right, Eclipse. Right, PlayStation doesn't make rumors. Starfield was announced for PlayStation, right? Even if it comes out, they made up rumors. It comes out. They're like, it's coming out. It's coming out in February. It was coming out in summertime. It's coming out this holiday season. When they do announce it, they'll be like, see, I told you it's coming out, which is great. But they keep moving the goalposts. It's here. It's coming out now. It's coming over here. And even if it does come out, Xbox is like, yeah, more games everywhere. Like, what a shocker. Xbox exclusives haven't been good since the 360s. You never see Miss First Party stuff have the same level of hype Halo Gears did during the 360. Oh, 360. When I held up the PlayStation at the end of the stream yesterday, PlayStation 2 and Xbox 360, that, now looking at the hindsight of 2020, that was like peak gaming during PlayStation 2 and Xbox 360 era. I'm not saying there's not good games now, but there's a system. All the systems were just bangers. Everything that was coming out for those things, you were having so much fun playing games, not worried about all this shit. Looking back, that's the best time. Like, I'm not worried about. I see what's his name? Destin Laguerre, right? He talks about all the time about what's happening at Xbox. Xbox is done, and the people are this, and I'm not buying that, and I'm buying this, but I'm not going to get this. And it's like this. I, as a consumer, don't care, right? I have an Xbox. I don't have a PlayStation 5, okay? Do I need a PlayStation 5? No, because their games are coming to PC. If I had a PlayStation 5, do I need an Xbox? No, because their games come to PC, right? The only thing you need is a Nintendo Switch, okay, if you play Nintendo games, okay? And even then you can emulate them and whatnot if you know what you're doing, okay? But I'm not loyal to any plastic box. I'm going to buy or not buy. Like I've said before, outright, I'm not buying the next Xbox system until it shows me and proves to me that it's actually doing what it's told, okay? I'm not buying a PlayStation, the next PlayStation, unless it tells me it's doing what it actually says it's doing, okay? This whole generation of games, this generation of Xbox Series and PlayStation 5 has been underwhelming as far as broke, buggy, unfinished games that come out or underperforming, bad ports, whatever it is. It's been underwhelming the entire time, okay? If a third-party company comes out and makes a brand new system, I might be going towards that. If Amazon comes out and says, we have an Amazon console, I'll be like, well, that seems pretty interesting. Let's see. As long as they do what they say they are and they deliver it, then I'm cool. I'm going to play games where I want to play games. Doesn't matter if it's on my phone. Doesn't matter if it's on my computer. Doesn't matter if it's on the Switch or the Xbox or the PlayStation or a brand new device that's not even out yet. Make a product, sell the product. Feels Good Man says the console generation has convinced me to save up for a PC. Yeah. And you can make a PC for the price of what a PlayStation or Xbox is, right? Or close to it if you want to have the same experience, but on a PC. Roken says, this is because you're above that, and this is why I listen to you. I just don't badmouth other people all day. This shit gets old. Yeah, it's not about badmouthing people. Look, I don't like talking shit about other people, right? And I see sometimes you guys talk about certain people in chat or whatnot, and if you don't agree with certain people because of certain things, cool, but we can all have a conversation, right? Like, I don't agree with Paul Tassi on a lot of stuff, but I bring up his articles because, one, he writes a lot of stuff, and it's permanent and it's current inside because a lot of people, they'll just regurgitate what one person wrote and everybody else copies that, right? At least he gives his own opinions about stuff, right? And we'll bring it up and talk about it, right? I don't have to like Tiger Woods, right, as a person, but I love watching him play golf, right? There's certain things that I, as a 46-year-old man that have been on this planet, okay, that I can distinct between things I like and don't like, or I can respect or not respect, and still have a conversation about it. Chris says, people use logic to conclude that Microsoft would have to put its games multi-plat. If the company you buy sells more of your competitor's platform, of course you can't go exclusive or make money. Right, but how long and how much does Microsoft have to scream to say, hey, more games in more places for more people? They've said this for years now. And people are like, they're going third party. They're already third party. You can get the games on PC and Xbox day and date. PlayStation is also going third party. The difference of why PlayStation hasn't jumped ship as fast as Xbox has is because they still have a hold on the market of consoles. Okay? They outsell them 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 overall, right? They still have a big footprint in the console market. Okay? But if they weren't losing money in certain regions, then they wouldn't have raised the prices in the other regions. Okay? So it's not as just black and white as what it is. Microsoft has said multiple times, we're moving above this. We're not worried about PlayStation and Nintendo. We're worried about, I think they said Amazon and Google, or Apple and Google for the future. They're trying to get into a separate, completely separate entity. You want to buy a console? Buy a console. Okay? You don't want to buy a console? Don't buy a console. Right, cool. That's why I said this whole generation, just the ports of the games coming out is disappointing. Right? The games themselves coming out and they're fixed over 18 months or 24 months after they launch on console or PC. It's disappointing. This whole generation of gaming has been disappointing. Not to say there hasn't been really good games, but the majority of them have been disappointing. Sure, roadkill, but if you notice that window's getting smaller and smaller, right? Before it was they weren't going to release anything. Then it wasn't, we're not going to release first-party titles. And then they started putting the live service games out day and date, right? Now they're putting the Lego game with their IP, that's coming out day and date, okay, on PC and console. So the line's getting blurred, okay, of what PlayStation and PC are doing. And obviously, the success of what's happening with Helldivers, they're looking at it going, well, we make more money. When what's it called? Spider-Man comes over, you know, after time and it makes a shit ton of money. They're like, oh, well, maybe we'll put this on day and date. Because they think that people are going to go out and buy a PlayStation instead of just waiting for it to come out on PC. Very few people will buy a PlayStation and not wait, because there's plenty of games that they could play up until then. Oh, I love the fact, Jason, not only did they double down, but they used the, where you could buy the samurai sword, and it was from fucking One Piece. Like, bro, you can't make this stuff up. They're like, insert foot into mouth here. Oh. Do you think there will be a crossover between Fortnite Lego and Horizon Lego? Well, don't they already have her in the game? Altern? Don't they already have her in Fortnite? And I'm pretty sure they'll probably make a Lego character, which they already did. But I'm pretty sure they'll have the Lego, because not all the characters in Fortnite have a Lego version of themselves. I don't know if she's got a Lego form yet, but I'm going to say yes. Yes, the Lego form will be in. I don't know if there'll be a crossover as far as, like, that Lego game goes into Fortnite. But I think you'll get the character, because she's already in the game, as a Lego form that you can use in Fortnite. Oh, where's that list? Does anybody have that list of the top selling PlayStation games that they're saying that Concord's on? Or it's like 34th. Was this it? This only goes up to 20. Yeah, I know she's in the game already. I don't know if they'll move it over. I'm pretty sure they'll give her a Lego form, especially since they have a Lego form of her now. Yeah, their goal hasn't changed. Their goal's been like that for the last 5 or 6 years. 43rd, Water. I think Concord is the 43rd best-selling game, but I want to see that list. I want to see where Black Myth sits, because we can physically figure out how many copies are sold on PlayStation based on the number that they give for concurrent and total sales. Right? Because Wuhong has 10 million copies sold total, right? And they had 3 million concurrent players across all platforms. Well, at that point, we know that 3 million, they had 2.4 million on Steam. So then we can solve, okay, how many people, which is like 600,000, a little less than 600,000 of people on PlayStation at the same time. Now, obviously, we could take a percentage of if there's more people playing concurrently on PC than there is PlayStation, and they sold 10 million copies, then we can rough estimate that 7 million people have bought it on PC, and about 2 million, a little more than 2 million people bought it on PlayStation for Black Myth, right? So we know how many sales that they have. So when they show a list of if Black Myth Wukong is like 10th on the list and it sold 2.5 million copies, and yet Concord is 43rd on the list, then we can kind of rough estimate, all right, well, if 2.5 million sales is this point of the list, then we know where Concord is and how many they sold. Chris says, Lego is such a bad example since the collaboration of 2 IPs. When the mainline Horizon is on Switch, then we can talk. Ghost of Tsushima took 4 years for PC port, and PlayStation is consistent. For who you commenting there, is that towards me? What I'm saying is that slowly, it's an IP, and their game is coming to day and date, coming to Switch and PlayStation, and I think PC at the same time. Where just 2 years ago, that games that were coming out, that they weren't going to be coming out on PC or any other platform day and date. And my point is, Chris, that they've changed their model because they know they're going to make more money that way. So your argument is that that's completely different because of the IP. But my point to you is that PlayStation wants to make money. And to make more money, they're releasing the game in more places day and date. Okay? They're starting off small with their IP made as a Lego game, compared to putting God of War on day and date on the separate system or on PC. On the bestseller list, Wukong appears to be 1 and Concord is 50th. On PlayStation? Okay, so let me get that link. What do we got here? 6, 12, that's 24. Can I put more per page or no? Okay. So according to this, right? According to this, Concord sits on page 3, and ahead of that is World of Warships, Legends, Vision of Mana. So if Vision of Mana comes out with, sales numbers, then you can put that up there as well. We have UCF 5, Sims 4, Smite 2, Red Dead Redemption 2's got more sales than Concord. Is this sales of this month, Krebsy? What is best selling of what's the time frame of this? Right, that's free to play. That's free to play. That's a full-fledged title, right? So is this for the month? Because obviously Madden has sold more than Wukong overall, but not on PlayStation, I guess. This month probably. Come on, Drummond. right? Space Marines 2 right now is selling more, okay, than Concord. Last 30 days? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how this works because I'm assuming that this is a list. Doesn't say, but I'm assuming it's 30 days. Okay. So in the last 30 days, we know that this is sold 2.5. That's the king, right? If we're assuming that this list is from the best-selling of the last 30 days. And we know that Wukong has sold 10 million copies, and we know that about 2 million, we'll give them, I'll even say 2.5. We'll say, we'll give them 2.5 million, even though it's probably less than that, all right? So this is number one. So where do you think page 3 sits? Do you think that all of these games are selling about 2 million copies apiece? Probably not. I'm assuming that this is around 300,000 to 500,000 copies sold. This is saying, Crowd says, I think about the fact the day before was literally a scam that everyone knew about. It had 38,000 players. Chris says it's a collaboration, and it's not just a PlayStation IP. It's always someone else is involved during those deals. Lego and MLB, the multi-platform. PlayStation first party has years between PC release. Unless so I have a question. You're talking one way, and I'm talking another. I'm talking about the company that wants to make more money. Okay, regardless if they're forced by hand by a third-party publisher or not. Okay, MLB, okay, made more money when it went to Xbox because more people get to play the game. That's a PlayStation first-party studio. Okay, the partnership they had with MLB said we would like to make more money, and PlayStation's like, okay, so they bowed to MLB to make money. So now PlayStation bowed to Lego because they want to make more money. It's also a testing ground to see, like, all right, well, let's see. Let's take our IP, team up with Lego, make a Lego game, and let's put it out on all platforms and see how it sells. If you don't think that's a test, Chris, and what the future holds. So my question to you, Chris, is, do you think that PlayStation will never put their games day and date for the first-party titles? Because I believe they will. Okay? They will at some point put their titles day and date, first-party titles, on console and PC. So is your argument that they'll never put their games on PC and PlayStation on day and date? I thought putting out Concord was even a good idea. If the first place, it's literally the alpha test release as a full game. If I saw those numbers on the open beta for Concord, I would have put the handbrake on, pulled it up, and said, "Nope, we ain't releasing this right now." I would have done with what Obsidian did on Xbox and said, "We're holding off. We're gonna push it back so you can play your games on your backlog." That's what I would have said for Concord. They had less than 2,000 people, or a little bit more than 2,000 people play their beta test. Open beta test. Meanwhile, closed beta test for Marvel Rivals was up in the 23,000s. Skull and Bones has finally dropped off the top 10 after, 4 or 5 months at 57, according to this list. Ron says, Mike, when are we going to get the info on the new Xbox console? I'm excited. Not going to lie. I believe that it could be a turning point if they don't screw it up. I mean, I think it's stupid if they do it handheld. I've said this multiple times. Only for the reason of, are they only coming out with the handheld device for Xbox's next console? And if it is the next most powerful console in existence, right, and that's the only console they have, and let's say it's like a Switch where you can take it and put it in the dock. It's the Steam Deck, but it's also like a Switch. You can plug it in, and then all of a sudden now you can play your games on the television set. You can take it with you, and you're playing the game, and it plays the Steam games or whatever else. It's the most powerful system in the world. Great. The business plan for Xbox and Microsoft with their stuff is that they want it to work across all the platforms. So now let's say they make this next greatest, best handheld device, and it's a standalone. It's the 10th generation of the console. You still have the S. You still have the X that you have to make games for across the board, and that's still going to hurt them. So I don't know where they go with this handheld device that everybody wants them to make. Now, if they're only making a handheld device and it's not parity with everything else, then cool, we can have a different conversation. But as far as it, because it has to have parity with all their shit, that the S is still holding it back. And if they just make a handheld and integrate it with the rest of the series, and it's this generation, and now it's a handheld, it still suffers because of the S. Chris says, as long as PlayStation wants to sell consoles, then it will keep the same strategy. PlayStation makes more money per player in the ecosystem. PlayStation already said that they wouldn't trade PlayStation player for a PC player. Sure. Money talks, bullshit walks, right? And what they're saying now up front is obviously they're staying stronger to what they did. But in the back end, they're looking at testing stuff. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone live service games, right? They would have stayed strong to just their first-party titles, but they wanted to make more money. And they wanted to try to evolve for the future. So if they stayed true to what they were going to do, then they would only make first-party titles. But they're not making just first-party titles. They're making live service games that are across the board that release day and date, right? And now they're trying to take their IP and put it out there as well to see what sells and what doesn't sell. They're adapting, which I said they should do, right? I remember a conversation, and you weren't here, Chris, years ago, but I actually said that Sony would start putting games day and date, regardless if it was first party or not. I said they will start putting games on their PC. Everyone's like, never going to happen. Never going to happen. And then they did it with God of War, and then they did it with Last of Us, and then they did it with Spider-Man. Okay, and this was back in 2017, 2018, before rumors were going around. I said, they're going to have to do it because that's the way the industry is going. Here we are, all these years later. Now they have their games on PC. They are a third-party publisher, okay? And they're making small increment changes as they go. If they were making all the money in the world, why are they raising the prices of their consoles? Is that a good, strong message for their players? That the same systems that you bought for the last 4 years are now $90 more? The problem with that, though, Crowded, is that they can't just abandon the S. The S is the most selling console that they have. And they can't treat the S as a last-gen console because it's not a last-gen console. It's this gen's console. Microsoft has endless amounts of money as they release better and better games. Little by little, people will start to buy them on Xbox first if that console is awesome. Well, we already know there's more people paying a subscription model than actually earning a console for Xbox. The clip says, yeah, you remember when Ratchet was never going anything else but the PlayStation 5? Remember? Yeah, I remember. That's right, Water. That's right. PlayStation's raising their console prices because that's their bread and butter. They're stuck in that realm of console sales. I personally think they're raising the prices because when they do announce the PlayStation 5 Pro, it's going to be a higher price. And they're trying to get this price closer to that price so people look at it and go, do I buy a PlayStation 5 or do I spend an additional whatever money to get a PlayStation 5 Pro? That's what I personally think they're doing. Because PlayStation sells better over there than it does over here. So Xbox is stuck with the S until next gen. I'm afraid that they're stuck with it even to then. Because right now, There's people playing Starfield on the Xbox One. Xbox One. There's people playing Starfield right now. There's still a player base that plays on Xbox One. So if you think the next gen comes out and all of a sudden everyone's going to jump ship, you're stuck with the S, not for just this cycle, but for at least the next 5 or 6 years into the next cycle. Krebsy says, the difference between Xbox and PlayStation best-selling list is a lot different than I thought. The S sold on a lie. If the new console is amazing, they will sell more because people will have to accept some games that just aren't going to run on the S. They have to make the decision. Well, the problem with that is people don't just stop. Look at PlayStation. They have 150 million people that own a PlayStation 4, right? What's the PlayStation 4 sales? Hold on, let me look. $117 million. 117 million people own a PlayStation 4. 60 million own a PlayStation 5. That's a big chunk of population that hasn't moved to your next system yet. Okay. Now you're thinking about it going, well, maybe those people are waiting for the PlayStation 5 Pro. Or maybe they're waiting for the PlayStation 6 so they can then buy a PlayStation 5. Okay. There's a lot of people, almost half of the people that own a PlayStation 4, okay, haven't moved over to a PlayStation 5 yet. So regardless, to make people move, even if you make people move and they're like, well, if you want the new stuff, you got to come on over. People are still like, nah, I'm good with the box I have. I'm still good with that. Hell, my brother-in-law has an Xbox 360. He missed the one. He still plays his 360. He's never even gone to the one. Yeah, it's streaming on the Xbox One. They can't force parity for 3 consoles. They're doing it right now. Not only is it running on the Xbox One, I think it's the One. Is it the One X? Right? Then there's a Series S, Series X. Then there's Game Pass. Then there's a cloud. PlayStation doesn't have Microsoft money. They had to release The Last of Us 100 times in the last 10 years because they needed to return the immersed budgets of those games. And now they're even slowing down on AAA releases. Or maybe, Krebsy says, or maybe 6 have played games still supported on the PlayStation 4, so no reason to upgrade. Once the COD drops last gen and GTA 6 releases, loads of people will upgrade. Sure, but that's 5 years into the life cycle. Maybe 6. And that's my point. You're making my point even more. Most people don't move to the new systems until later in the life cycle. Chris says, I wasn't surprised by the games as service on PC since they had PC division called Sony Online Entertainment. Did the PC versions before they ported the PC platform. PS does games as service better now with crossplay day one. Sure, but that's still negating the point of people said that they weren't coming to PC. And now it's an afterthought. Of course it's coming to PC. My whole thing is, Chris, that it will come. Everybody else is in denial that it's not coming because of some sort of higher ground that you guys stand on. Because you're like, no, Sony's too good to put their games day and date on PC. We'll see. Saturation point for console is here. They want to make more money and people are not buying their systems. So where are you going to go? How much money are you going to squeeze out of the same people that you keep getting the money from? Right? I buy a PlayStation 5. Great. How do I make more money out of you? Well, you're not buying more games or service. So we got to buy a PlayStation VR headset. That's another device. Oh, you're done paying for that? Well, now you need a PlayStation Portal. You need that? Oh, we have a new controller, right? That's their business model. Not try to get new people, but to get the people that are already in the ecosystem to spend more money because they're already fans of that stuff. How do you get new customers? We watched the video, what last week, 2 weeks ago? It's super hard to get new consumers into the thing. The life cycle of the consoles, they don't come over until 4, 5, 6 years into the next cycle. So it costs more money to get new people into that ecosystem. Well, the people that are already in the ecosystem, they're gouging them for money. Well, how long can you do that for before they go, yeah, you know what? I don't want to spend anymore. That gets smaller and smaller. I would say it's a pretty good guess, Travis. About 3 years. Right? And obviously, people saying that, Xbox, this is the far side of Sony fans saying, well, Xbox fans don't buy their games, right? And yet here's Concord. You have 60 million people that own a PlayStation, and yet 500,000 bought Concord? How many people do you think are going to buy the next Call of Duty game on PlayStation? I could tell you it's more than 30 or 500,000 people, right? It's going to be millions of people that buy the next Call of Duty game. And where's that money going? That's right, to their competitor. So who's laughing? Microsoft or PlayStation? Right? Who's laughing? Microsoft is laughing because they're like, yeah, we don't care that you can call us a third-party publisher. You can call us whatever you want. They're making money. Making money. Well, they said, Crowded, based on the articles that we've read, the developers of Firewalk Studios said that they're going to finish out the seasons they have. They have 3 seasons planned. So they're going to at least finish that out. I think they're waiting to see what season 1 does. If it brings people in, right? They got to come out with some whatever they have for season 1 in place. Is it going to bring people to move that dial? If it doesn't move, then it goes free to play. That's my prediction. Travis says both companies are laughing because Sony has dictated players and always will, and Microsoft is because they were good with being a third-party publisher, so both are fine. Right. The people that are not fine are the people that are customers. They're like, oh, Xbox is going third-party. They're doomed. Okay. Oh, PlayStation's never going to put their games on PC. Oh, well, they're putting it on PC because, it's after the fact. And however you want to justify it, the company doesn't give 2 shits about what I think, what you think. All they care about is the thing that's in your pocket. Okay? Rebsy says there's no way Concord sold 500,000. I'll even say it didn't even sell 100,000. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. Usually, it's like 20% of the player base that you see on like Steam is like what the total number is, right? Well, let's figure that out for a second, right? How many there's 7 million people that played on PlayStation, because we know that on PC. 7 million people that bought it on PC. Right? 10 million sales total, 3 million concurrent for 200,000, right? So 200,000, it's like 20%. It's like 20%, right? So if you take the 20%, of Concord's 697 peak concurrent, we're talking, 400, 500,000. Rough math. I don't have a flashlight in my pocket. That's not 200,000 loss. You're missing 3 zeros, Mo. You're missing 3 zeros. It's 200 million. Right? Could you imagine being the Concord rep? You're like, yeah, remember that investment that we had? Yeah, you're not getting that back. All right, bye. I don't know if it's a shit game, Krebsy. I don't want to say it's a shit game. I didn't play it. I've watched it, and what I've seen, it just doesn't excite me personally, but I don't play those types of games. I don't know if it's a shit game. I just don't think it's selling because of, well, like we talked about in the first 2 articles. I just think there's a lot going on in this landscape of free-to-play. I think the people that are playing enjoy it. It's just not going to get a lot of people to play it. Does the 200 million include the studio purchase? I don't know that answer, Kirk. I don't know that answer. I didn't even see the... I saw a photo of the thing that said it lost 200 million, but I don't see the actual article. Otherwise, I would have brought it up. I see the review bomb. I see a whole bunch of stuff, but I don't see the article that people captured in Twitter or in the tweet where it said like 200 million loss potential. I'm like, where's that article? We've talked about articles here about timing of a video game launch, right? That's a huge thing. Timing of a video game launch, right? That could take place in what's happening here now, right? It's just so... Don't you find it weird? Don't you find it weird that PlayStation is now putting games on PC? A hero shooter, okay? And Valve, that hasn't said anything about their hero shooter game, all of a sudden comes out the same time as now a competitor putting a hero shooter onto the PC. Find that odd, don't you? And Steam, because Steam is Steam, and because they truly have like the PC on a lockdown and what they can do, we read that article, they can persuade things and show things, and they don't need to market it and stuff because that's where people are. They're on Steam, right? So now they show all of a sudden Deadlock comes out of nowhere and sucks the air out of the room, right? Sucks the air out of the room for Concord on PC. So now that looks like it's a bad thing for them, which then overall gives articles saying that the game is bad and game is just not good. And then the player base shows, and a lot of people look at at Steam as the one-all number to be all, but you can use it as a barometer. You can't use it as factual, like this is it, but you can look at the barometer, and you can look at that because of Wukong. Wukong is on there, and it's over here, and it's selling this much over here. Now, obviously, one doesn't say the other, okay? But when you look at a number of what Wukong is doing at 2.4 million concurrent players, it's the hottest game right now. There's nothing hotter. And then you look at when they say 3 million consecutive players online at one time across all platforms, obviously, ding, 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 you can see how many people are very successful or bought it and playing it on PlayStation. That's a number. If that's number one, then everything's below that, right? They show. This is why I love numbers. They gave us the total for that game. They gave us the concurrent players across all platforms for that game. This is what first-party developers don't want, right? Sony doesn't want this. Xbox doesn't want this. This is why they hide numbers all the time. But Game Science doesn't care because they're a third-party game and they're putting it on their systems and they're happy as fuck. They're like, yeah, we got 10 million sales, 3 million consecutive across all platforms. Ding, ding, ding. There's some things we can equate now. Let's put it in there. Add it up. See how many people are there. And then when you have lists that say Wukong is number one, and then everything else is falling out below that, you can start figuring shit out. Right, they didn't say shit about Deadlock. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, there's a first-person shooter game coming out. Hero shooter. We have a hero shooter. Be a good time to drop that. Don't you find it odd that Once Human, a game that nobody knew about, All of a sudden, the day before, leading up the day before, this open world thing, they fucked themselves with their... But all of a sudden, that failed. And what was there to catch the players that were looking for that open world game? Once Human. Came out of nowhere. Nobody knew about it. All of a sudden, Once Human landed in the lap of people, and now it's successful. People are playing it. People like it. Timing is everything. Timing is everything. Overwatch 2, having problems. Having problems. They're not doing certain things. They're dropping certain performance things. And all of a sudden, NetEase is like, hey, we have an Overwatch game. But it's third person and it's Marvel. Everyone's like, well, shit, I'm listening. Slide on over. Right? Now people that were playing Overwatch are now playing Marvel's Rivals. And now they're chomping at the bit to get this game back out so they can play it. This is what you guys are saying here. They got Catch 22. Who's going to pay $40 now? We know that the game is going under. Right. We don't even know if they're going to support it for a year. This is why they came out and said, oh, we're supporting it for 3 seasons. Oh, well, that's great. You can see how well that's doing for Suicide Squads, right? We're supporting it for at least a year. Yeah, you told us the death date. Right? You're like, 1 year. No, I'm good. I'll come back when it's all done and on sale. See you later. Well, Krubsy says, yes, Mo, I played open beta, and not even someone that would still be able to call the game shit if they even experienced the industry. He says, experienced construction worker can say a building is bad by looking at it, not building it themselves. Good analogy. Kuda Papa says, I didn't play it. I knew it was shit when based on the movement and the gameplay I saw. Kirby says that's because of years' experience of playing games. That's right. Chris says, all I hear are excuses from non-players. People that play it enjoy it. It's also an arena shooter like COD, Crucible, UT, also Halo. Calling it a hero shooter is a red flag. We didn't call Team Fortress 2 a hero shooter. Whatever reason Concord is failing, I don't think we could put one factor of why it's failing. I'm putting a more percentage, and I said earlier in the show, I'll give it like a 60% on a wheel of why Concord is failing. I think 60% of it is because of the paid to get people in there, is the $40 gatekeep. Because people will try it, right? People will try it if it was free. It's not free, so they're like, What was that? What was that ding for? Bo says, gunplay looks fine. Gameplay looks fine. Krebsy and a construction worker that have been doing it for years, and the ego, I think, is everything is shit. If it was free, most likely would have more players. It would have more players. I don't think it would be like, it would jump from like 697 to like 600,000. If that was, you know what I mean? Like it would come in, it would at least be 6, 7, 10,000 people would try it if it was free. You know what I mean? I think the concurrent could get up there. I mean, why wouldn't you? You have 60 million people that own a PlayStation. Why wouldn't they give it a shot if it was free? Just on PlayStation fans alone. Why wouldn't they try it out if it was on there for free? Return of Moria is $19.99 on Steam. Just heads up for people who want to pick it up. When does it come out for First Loser was saying that it was coming out on consoles soon. I wonder if it's crossplay between PC and console. Look, on this channel, I try not to shit on games unless I play the games myself. Okay? I'm not saying this because of Krebsy. I'm saying just in general, people come in here, right? we talk about games and the structure of the business models and whatnot based on the articles and stuff that we read and my experience of stuff with the game and the game industry. Okay, I'm not in the game industry, but I'm in the game industry because I've been doing this I've been playing games since I was 3. I'm 46 years old. Okay, I've seen a lot of shit go down. Okay, I pay attention to a lot of stuff. I read a lot of stuff. Okay, my word is not like God. Okay, these are just my thoughts and my opinions. We have conversations here. Right? Everyone's welcome. We try not to push anybody out in any way, shape, or form. We're just trying to give you a piece of entertainment for 2-3 hours of your day. And I appreciate you very much if you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as low as $5. We do live streams Monday through Thursday in the mornings. We do gameplay Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We do a podcast, which is tonight, Thursday night, Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. So if you like that type of stuff, you can come on by tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern for the podcast. You can also listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Anchor.fm, or anywhere a podcast is seen or heard. Let's see. Crowd says people aren't playing Concord because no one looks at those characters and says, hey, that guy looks awesome. I want to be that guy. The characters are dreadful. Right? They would get in and go, well, it's free to play. Let me give it a shot type of thing. And then when they play it, they'll play it and go, oh, it actually feels good. Oh, this is cool. Right? And you play more of it. Chris says, if it's the price, then people can wait for a sale. A traditional arena shooter, people will claiming that they wanted it after being tired of microtransactions. I buy games so I don't have to deal with the free-to-play BS. Correct, but this type of game, Chris, lives or dies on the player base. It's a PvP game. It's not a single-player game where you're waiting. You're like, oh, it's a PvP game. I'll wait 6 months. 6 months, that game might not even be existing anymore because the player base is not there. That's the difference between Concord and Assassin's Creed Shadows or Star Wars Outlaws. I agree with you that I would buy a $40 game and give it... I bought Helldivers. Okay, Helldivers 2. Because no matter what happens, I can still play that game. I enjoyed that game. It can go on sale. But I can play that game solo. Right? You need a team. You need a matchmake in Concord. It's a hero shooter. Can you play with bots? Can someone fill me in? Can you play with bots? Where I don't have to play online with people and I can just play with bots the entire time? Because you can do that in Marvel Rivals. People wait for a sale for Concord. The game is done. Unless they change the business model and take it to free-to-play. Because if you're waiting for a sale for that game, you're going to be waiting about the same time they're going to make it free-to-play, which is a couple of months. They're waiting to see what happens once the microtransactions come in, which I believe is in Season 1. Robert Jones says, I played Foam Stars for free. Would you have played $40 for it? I think it was $30, but would you pay $30 to give it a shot, Jones? Hard no, right? What made you... I have a question. What made you buy Concord? What was Concord? What did you see in Concord? And I'm not trying to make fun of you in any way, shape, or form. I truly want to... What did you see in Concord that you were like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna buy this? Oh, for sure, Eclipse. The microtransactions, I think the skins are gonna look... Well, I don't know. I saw one of them that was I don't know if it was leaked or not, and I was like, is that real? I was like, I hope not. I hope they don't go the route of Suicide Squad's designers of cosmetics, because they're in trouble then. Chris says, sales help to bring people in, and people who already have it return. We have seen old games have resurgence as well as games failing out the door, picking themselves up and trading things around. Can you give me an example? You give me an example of a hero shooter that's turned itself around. I can give you a lot of games that failed that were a arena hero shooter. Yeah, Battleborn turned themselves around to the exit door. That's right. Like, we got a single player game here with MOBA. We'll just go out this way. Everybody says, people who ignore the characters' visuals if the gameplay is good, yes, characters looking bad can negatively impact the game, but it's not going to prevent people from playing the game alone. Oh, yeah, well, if I'm paying $40 for shitty-looking characters to play the game, or if I'm free-to-play, I'll give free-to-play a shot. Rainbow Six Siege, a good example. Here's another example. Rainbow Six Siege literally had to get turned around, and they spent millions of dollars more to get it fixed and put it through. Are we saying that Concord, and let me check, when Rainbow Six Siege came out, let's see, all time. At launch, back in 2015, Tom Clancy Rainbow Six Siege had 20,000 people. Okay? Concord is on a completely different level of not coming back. 20,000. I don't think if Concord was free to play, it would get 20,000 total. Yeah, here's the lifespan. Okay? 2015, 20,000. 2000, right? Or, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's December 2015. By March, it was up to 29,000. By June, it was 39,000. By 2017, January, it was 65,000. It took up until 2018, February, to get to the numbers where it started to get successful and where it stayed for a couple of years. We're talking 2 years, 3 years to complete and finish. Do you think Concord will be around that long? I don't. Every review brings up the bad characters look is an issue. Your denial if you think it's a fact, it's not a factor. I think it's a factor. I said it earlier. I think it's a factor. I just don't think it's the main factor. It's amazing what people will do for free. You're giving examples of completely different games, but I'll read it anyway. OG Fortnite became what it is after it turned into PUBG. Final Fantasy XIV used the Phoenix Sum. For all we know, the devs could be making a PvE mode like people are requesting. It just came out. Perhaps. And I said I think they worked on a PvE mode for this game, and this is why I can't imagine why it took 8 years to make a hero shooter. Fortnite was a tower defense, and it turned into a battle royale. Again, Fortnite battle royale. Free to play, all right? So you're taking games that are not equivalent to what it is. Fortnite came out at the peak of battle royales. They're coming out with a hero shooter for $40 in a landscape of free to play games 8 years too late. I agree, Crowded. I don't think if they go free to play, it's too late now. They've already tainted the water, right? But if they go free to play, it'll bring up the player base, and then maybe they could sell people on what it is. But I'm telling you, that $40 price point, okay? No one believed me that no one would play this game because of the $40 price tag. Here I am still telling you about the $40 price tag, and people are still wondering why no one wants to play the game. That's the major, that's the crux right there. That's the bottleneck of why people are not playing this game. Akuda Papa says, if Concord revives and becomes popular again, fix etc. 18 months, as we say, I'll give 10 subs. I won't hold my breath. Free-to-play PvE mode that would also bring in people in. I mean, if they wanted to learn a lesson, I still think Rivals should do this lesson as well. Overwatch was going to make a PvE mode in the game. They did for like Junkers thing for Halloween special and stuff like that. But they were actually going to make a PvE part of the game. Then they abandoned it. Concord should have done the same thing. They should have made a PvE, which they were doing. That's hence why there's cutscenes every week or whatever. Okay. And Marvel Rivals should do the same thing. I had a video about this. Marvel Rivals needs to have a PvE mode. They said they might work on it in the future, but they have no plans for it now, which is disappointing. But yeah, those types of games, if they wanted to one-up Overwatch, everyone in Overwatch was asking for that PvE stuff. And then here we are. We got multiple hero shooters coming out, and none of them have a PvE thing. I don't think they will, Jason. I think they will make it free just to see if they can get people come in to buy the microtransactions and whatnot. But this game is not going to have a No Man's Sky or Fortnite return unless they decide to change the free to play real quick. How long did it take Foam Stars to go free to play? Right, it came out in February. We're talking what, 6 months? That's too long for this game. This game was supposed to be a hit. Instead, it just hit the ground hard. Crowded says, in my honest opinion, they should release free skins for every character that makes them look awesome, and they need to patch the reworks those game systems that they just worked on. In my opinion, I don't think they'll ever do that. Why? Because of greed. It's a lost cause, and they just want to make money out of it. What movies do is they take it out of the theaters as fast as possible and then try to put it on rentals as fast as possible. Borderlands is doing that right now. No one believed me that it would be out of the theaters in 2 weeks. I was wrong. It was 3 weeks. Okay? They're trying to make their money back on that as fast as possible. Okay? The movies didn't do very well. Now they put it on rental. They're seeing what they can do with it. In video game form, they can't do that. Taking it out of theaters is making it free to play and then charging the microtransactions. Right? So that's what they're trying to do. So I think they wait for the microtransactions to come in. See what the player base does and whatnot, and then if that subsidiates or subsidizes the cost of it, then they go, all right, we'll make it free to play, bring in more people, come in. Maybe they even drop it. Maybe they drop it from 40 to 20. See if that helps. I think that's a waste of time. They just do 40 to free, put a surge of players in, cross-promote it with something that happens during the season or whatnot, and then see what the sales happens if people want to buy it. Because if it's a fun game, people will start playing it. If it's not a fun game, then there's no point to play it, because they'll go play another free, fun game. So because I'm against the game, I'll do that bet. It's a safe bet in my opinion, but I could be surprised if the devs pull something off. I won't even take that bet because I wouldn't hold my breath. I don't think it's going to ever get successful. Founders pack for those that paid $40. Yeah, throw them in some stuff. Maybe Titan. Maybe they do what Crowded said. Maybe for the people, they give them cool outfits, right? They give cool outfits to those people that paid the $40 for the characters, and then the people that come in see those cosmetic skins. Then maybe they come in for free to play, and then they purchase those. Maybe it's I'll take that. I can see what Crowded said by putting the more of the awesome looking characters in there. Give those characters for free to the people that paid $40, and then start advertising like how cool they look and different, and then make it free to play. I can see that. They need to sell the game to Netflix and Amazon. Yeah, I can see that, Prosy. Like, unlock stuff, give them benefits. Don't be like Outlaws. Don't be like Massive. Be like, sorry guys, we know you paid $110 for your extra 3 days early access on PlayStation, but if your game doesn't work and you have to reset after 10, 15, 20 hours of gameplay, we're going to give you a trinket. Thanks for playing. Like, you sons of bitches. All right, it's that time. It's past 1 o'clock. It went even longer today. I appreciate it very much that you guys come out and hang out with us every single morning. If you're here for 1 minute, 1 second, or 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour, I do appreciate you very much. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. We do streams Monday through Thursday, like I said, 10 o'clock in the morning. We do gameplays in the evenings, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday nights. We do a show called Shooting the Shit with Sarge. It's a lot of S's. We've been playing Borderlands 2 for the last 3 weeks or so. We played Star Wars. We played a bunch of stuff. We shoot shit while we're shooting the shit. So that's on Wednesday nights. And then we also do the podcast, which is tonight, Thursday, Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for hanging. Peace.